want to see how we can change all of that, brothers and sisters. And therefore, it is imperative that in your communities right across Jamaica, don't just sit down and say, nothing not change or it won't benefit you or anything like that. It can benefit you. History has shown that no master has ever freed the enslaved. It is the enslaved that has to get up and fight, resist, take chances, take different measures to be able to throw the bonds that bind their feet or their hands from off of them. So we want to change all of that, and it can change all of that. At that meeting also, it was brought up that there are brothers and sisters who would like to gain an economic benefit from the herbs, meaning that you would like not only to make byproducts from it and so on, which are good for healing and curing so many ailments. Because if you grant permission for persons to enjoy it as a sacrament, and there are many persons, for example, living in the city, who do have no space where they could grow their little 4 or 5 trees, which is permitted now under the law. They do have no space. Some of these tenement yards really can hardly turn around properly, much less to a plant or herbs. So if those who are not in a position to plant, then and there are others who are in the field, who have farms, who have gardens, who have patches all over Jamaica. And it takes a lot to grow these things. Then, if they bring it in and so, then they should get an economic benefit um, in terms of traveling and coming in. So all of these things we would like to change. And the reason for that, because we see many of our brothers and sisters, some who have faced the court already, since 2015 when the amendment came about, I've had quite a number of brothers and sisters who have been held, charged, fined. We have brothers' fields that have been raided, their herds cut down, seized. We have brothers now before the courts for planting, for carrying to Nyabingi and so on. And if we sit down, then it will just continue. But if we agitate, if we stand up, demonstrate, if we fight, just like Solomon Malangu says, we will fight. And if we fight, brothers and sisters, we will get results. We will get a determination that will show greater respect and to prevent many of our little youths, many of our brethren, many of our sisters from being locked up, from being harassed, from being disrespected, and in some cases humiliated. It is for these reasons why we fight. So remember now, those are 3 areas that you, the listeners, can provide assistance in the area of identifying sacred places. We have a list. There's an organization named RAGA, 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 and it has some very competent brothers and sisters in that organization. They have already, I think, on their list of sacred spaces, they have over 65 places that they have identified. So, but if you know your space is not on that list, then you can get in touch with that organization known as RAGA. You can look it up on the internet. And that, like I said, I have some very competent brothers who can give you how to get your space on that list so that you can participate in the fullness of ganja without being hall and pull or without being in fear of being draped up. That's one area. And then the other area of injustice. I've heard about a brother in Dunkirk, Rastafari brethren, elder brethren, who was shot in the back. I've been asking, I've heard about it. I've asked brothers and sisters to provide the information, give us some details, give us the brother's name, whatever, how we can locate him, have the brother locate us. And I've been hearing this now for over a month. And for some reason, I haven't gotten any further word. So if there's anyone listening who has some information with regards to that brother who was shot in the back, let us know. I've heard of a few other incidents also. The Rastafarians were subject to demeaning searches and so on. So again, let us tabulate all of this struggle, brothers and sisters, and see how we can put a stop to it, and in some cases, um, get compensation, damages in areas where the law has been disrespected. We're also going to make attempts to join Bingi Glen. Bingi Glen is on the ground in Ethiopia. We had him last week, very, very insightful, some of the things that he is with us. So we would like him to continue. There is a sister from Panama, and she had promised me faithfully that she would have been here this evening. I wrote down her name, it doesn't come up here now. And I would love to speak to her. Reason being, I want her to give us some of the intrigues of Panama. Because I noticed that quite a number of our early elders, Hibbert, Howell, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Bedwood, and quite a few of our elders in the Pan-African struggle that went to Panama. Some went to Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and so like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and so on. So I am searching to say there must have been something going on in Panama that so many elder Rastafarians in the 1930s, 1940s all traveled to Panama. I know some Jamaicans went there to work on the canal, the Panama Canal, that canal which joins two oceans. But is there, what? Fertile ground that attracted so many of our leaders to have gone there, and in some cases spend a lot of time. So I've asked the sister to come along. She hasn't reached yet. I'm hoping she'll come because we would like to talk about that. Also, just want to bring you up to date um, I, along with our sister, went to visit Nzinga Candice King. Nzinga King has been in the hospital at Lionel Town Hospital for more than a month now. Yes, the same Nzinga, the same sister that was trained on the 22nd of July this year, and the Director of Public Prosecution, we were looking forward to her ruling this week, but she has indicated that the ruling will not be coming out this week. That is the ruling as to who is to be charged for the egregious assault carried out on Nzinga King at the Four Parts Police Station. The Director of Public Prosecution has stated that she needs more statements. She wants further statements, whether to clear up certain things or whether to add certain things. We don't have the details, but this is what came out in the press, that she needs more things. So she has asked for that, and I presume in INDECOM, which is the body which has carried out the investigations in this matter, investigations in terms of going to Four Parts Police Station, taking photographs of the cells, taking photographs of the locations and so forth, interviewing some of the police officers that were on duty that night, interviewing persons in the company, did all of that, and then submit their files and their recommendations to the Director of Public Prosecution, because the court some time ago has ruled, when I say the Court of Appeal in Jamaica has ruled that INDECOM cannot prosecute, they can't bring the case to court, and that they are an investigative body. So they investigate, get the material, send it to the Director of Public Prosecution. In other words, the INDECOM Act as it presently is, the court had ruled that they don't have the power to prosecute. Different governments have said that they plan to amend that act to give INDECOM the power to prosecute, because, usually when you carry out the investigations, you interview the witnesses and so on, you have built up some sort of a camaraderie with the witness. The witness probably will feel more relaxed in your company and so forth. So you should be able to lead that evidence in court. But as usual, in Jamaica, a lot of talk. So I remember Bruce Golding from his time and said that they were going to amend the act. Then Portia Simpson came along. Now we have wholeness. So we don't know if any of them, really serious about amending the act to give INDECOM that power, because things I think would go a little faster, because the Director of Public Prosecution is clearly overworked, and her office has been widely broadcast is short-staffed, and so on. And in some cases, short-staffed in quality areas. So that ruling has not yet come as to who is to be charged for the disgraceful act carried out on little Nzinga. But Nzinga was in the hospital and she's recovering well now. I don't know the details of her ailment, but I gather it has to do with something in her blood. in terms of, we'll probably say, um, weakness of the blood. So they needed to put some things in her diet or in her live it, as we would say, to strengthen her. And that she may be coming out this week. She was very, 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 very lively when we went. And that Lionel Town Hospital, it must be the first hospital I go to Jamaica whereby, the patient comes outside, we go sit under a tree. And so, you're not blighted by the smell of the hospital and the whole conditions when you go to some of these other hospitals. You're going seeing, you're going whole, or you're going fresh. You come out depressed because you tend to associate that smell with the hospital, that smell of holy from medicine. It's a putrid smell. And but we never experienced that at Lionel Town. Big difference, big difference. Place more open up, place more breeze blow through. Yes. So I'm certain people, get better there than many other places. So we thought we should let you all know. And Benzinga looks it looked like she had lost some weight, she done little already. But her face beginning to show, from what I gather from the sister who has been going to see her, point out that now she's improving tremendously. And of course, we brought juices for her. It's the season of sorrel. Sorrel is good. Without sugar, Without sugar. Nice. Irish moss, these things that build in nerves, build the blood cells. Without sugar again. And I would encourage many persons, if you have any shortage of anything in the blood, deep, deep color fruits, deep green, deep orange color, deep red, deep colors, fruits or vegetables do very, very well in terms of building and shaping the blood. So we brought quite a bit of that for Queen and Zing. So brothers and sisters, we give thanks and that we hope that we will be able to take a few phone calls. As in the studio number, the lines are 876 619 1508, 876 279 8473. We are streaming live on the internet, so you can take in the program on Bitter Sugar, Miguel Lorne, right? Just type in Bitter Sugar Miguel Lorne and you are on, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's what the engineer telling me. And then we have a chat department where you can send your little views and your little suggestions, which we take very seriously in terms of growth and so on. I understand today that the Omicron, the latest COVID virus, that there have been at least one confirmed case in Jamaica today. But we sort of know that that would have happened soon because the way it is spreading in England, in America, and places that a lot of people travel from to come to Jamaica, the logical outcome would be that sooner or later it's going to spread here too. So we're asking you all to be on your guard, be careful, I can't repeat what they say because I have no confidence in what they say. So I can't repeat it to say, in terms of whether the Omicron is more serious than the Delta or those things. Or whether more people will die from the Omicron as compared to the Delta. Um, because they tell you that if you are fully vaccinated, then your body is going to build up antibodies, and therefore you won't catch the disease. But every time a next variant comes along, you're something different. You need a booster, you need this, you need that. You just can't. Um, Brothers and sisters, you just can't base on what them tell you. And when you look at, because the CIA and America, they have now admitted, it came up in court documents in England, where England ruled that Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks person who gave out a lot of information, which the Americans said were top secret, and which they said harmed their secret thing and so on. So what came out is that the CIA was planning to kill Julian Assange whilst he was in the Ecuadorian embassy in England. And they have now admitted to that. Yes, come in, no? Just draw a chair and say, come right in. Push on that. I just mentioning.
You just mentioning what?
So, Sister Ketis, you know you can't come and just disappear like that. It's no secret that you're one of my favorite. Whenever I see you, the whole place light up. You know that. You know that. So you can't just come in and disappear like that. So you must bless us. You must say something nice. Yes.
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 What a thing.
Whether it's reasoning, whether
seasoning.
Seasoning is even more, because you are one of the best chefs on the planet.
I'm telling you that.
Yes, you mentioned seasoning, things, so on. And whether it's Amharic, whether it's Orthodox, and whether it's organization, planning, and yourself and some
Universal.
Yes, some other sisters, brilliant in your level of and standard of organization that you have brought to the table.
Wow.
So, but I don't want to say too much because
I'm telling you, please.
You have.
My head is, well, Molly said he had to wear a cap to hold in his head.
Well,
Yes.
when I speak like this, because I know that they are brothers and sisters, and I want to heal Brother Jabulani in South Africa. We have Jabulani in Florida.
Right.
That's my brother of brothers, Jabulani, and Brother Dougie over there in Florida. Well, we also have a Jabulani he spent many years in Zimbabwe. And I understand now that he has gone over to South Africa, Brother down there in Jabulani. He has done wonders. He used to do a reggae program in Zimbabwe where he highlights reggae music and so on. Because, I don't know what it's like now that Mugabe is not there. But one of the things that Robert Mugabe did when they took power in Zimbabwe, they showed no foreign films. They only showed films made by Black people.
That's good.
In Africa, or if it's coming from the Caribbean and so on. So for years, sorry, they tell me that I Call on the line. Greetings and blessings, caller. Yes, greetings.
Let me get this one.
Yes, they told me that a caller's on the line. And
There's another one.
yes, greetings and blessings. Yes, greetings. Yes, sorry if I kept you too long. Yes, go ahead, my brother. What tidings you bring? Yes. Oh, yes, yes. I see the Tigrians now. Yes, yes. I'm following it too. Yes, in the Afar region and in the Amhara region, that they shouldn't, the Tigrayan should not even have been over there, but they went over there and committed atrocities, murders, rape, violence. Now that the army is organized, the central government army, and is moving in on them, they claim that they are withdrawing, but I have been made to understand that is licks them getting. And I've also been made to understand that the Ethiopian central government army is blocking off the path that not to allow them to retreat back to Tigray. Because all they will do is go back there, regroup, and launch again to kill off people. So, you know, they must surrender, and then they'll be treated as prisoners of war. Right. Yeah, because well, the evidence is there, my brother. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that quite a number of countries is against the Grand Renaissance Dam. Yes, you know. And from what Brother Glenn told me last week, that the Sudan government, led by the military wanta, not so much the civilians, but more the armed people, and they are against the dam also. And you know what hurt me? Because like I said, I've said it many times, especially when I was a younger youth, and really because of Rastafari, I started to read books on Ethiopia. And almost every book I opened, I used to say, boy, Ethiopia is a feudal country. Ethiopia is a backward country. I always say, now here it is that Ethiopia is now moving to be industrialized. And yeah. Well, but that's what me and you doing now. That's what me and you doing now. Yeah, but we're doing it now. So we have to spread the message and make more and more of our brothers and sisters here know what is happening and so on. Oh, you mean Abe? Ahmed Abe. Well, the man gone on the front line to meet the foes. Yeah, and the Eritreans are supporting Abiy. They are supporting the central government of Ethiopia, and this is very important because the Eritreans are virtually cousins of Tigray. You know, they look alike. They are beside each other, and so on. But nevertheless, Eritrea said, "No, Tigray, what you have done is horrible, and we are supporting the central government." Yes, yes, yes. Yes, but it's not yesterday or today Europe especially, and America, and a lot of these countries want to see Ethiopia divided. Not yesterday or today. They have had their eyes on getting a piece of Ethiopia. That's why Mussolini went there. He wanted a piece. Germany wanted a piece. England wanted a piece. France wanted a piece. Portugal wanted a piece. These are all European countries who aspired to get a piece of Ethiopia. Well, when you have the type of weaponry that some of these countries have, you think they think things hard? They don't think things hard. Them figure say, man, all it is, we have to just display our weapons and it will come, and not realizing that, you know, you see how it goes on, my brother, because let me put it was the French, they thought that Vietnam and the Americans and the French and the Americans and so on, they thought that Korea and Vietnam was easy. They thought so, you know. And them go down there with them napalm bombs and them go down there with all sort of things. But you see, when a people determine, like Malcolm said, those Chinese-looking people, all they wanted was a blade. Malcolm said, just give them a blade. And when darkness come down, it's even Steven. Yes, and not only that, what they have done now is the money which belongs to the Afghan people is being withheld by America. That is what they do now. They use their economic influence. Because America do have that much economic power, you know. America is the most borrowing country in the world, you know. Their economy based on borrowing. So they vote the other day to increase borrowing by 2 trillion. That's what their economy is based on. So it's other people's wealth they live off. And similarly with Venezuela. Venezuela, Britain have nearly 2 billion worth of gold belonging to Venezuela, which America is telling Britain not to give to Venezuela. It's Venezuela money, you know. So and the same way Afghanistan, they want their money, and America, because you have to understand now what America does is if Britain, France, Germany, and other countries breach their sanctions or embargo, then they tell their companies don't do business with those businesses in those countries, in Britain and France and so on. Well, the reality of world politics, if most of the African countries don't make arms, and if we're in a fight with somebody, you can't go war now with bow and arrow and spear and slingshot and them things. That them days are done. So you have to get arms from somewhere. So, you know, our brothers and sisters in Southern Africa, they got arms from Russia when they were fighting the apartheid system, and we appreciated those arms. And well, at least the Chinese do enslave and carry out the transatlantic slave trade like Britain and all of these countries did. So, you know. But Mark, Africa must start to develop now where we don't have no masters. That is what we must aim for now. Whether the Chinese, Russian, American, we must understand where we are in the world. We must make our own weapons to provide for security. We must have our rockets going to the moon. because cyberspace now becomes vital. We must build our own thing. You understand? It's and well, no, but one of all of these things to be united, you know. We can have each country can have its own football team, but that don't mean that we are divided. What we need to have is, for example, now, and this is where the dam in Ethiopia comes in meticulously. The dam, the Ethiopians are saying that this dam will be able to provide at least 85% of the energy that Ethiopia needs. So we'll be able to move in an industrial era much more comfortable. And hold on, and on top of that, they will be able to export energy to at least 10 adjoining countries. So make we start with the 10 and 11. You understand? And it's so gradually things spread. Now, there are other rivers in Africa that we need to build dams to provide energy also. And when we start doing that now, then now, African countries, Sudan have oil, Angola have oil, Algeria, Libya have oil, but we export all of this oil. When we start to process our oil now, ourselves, and provide, Nigeria depends on oil, and so on, then, so for example now, so those countries in Africa that don't have oil, we can export to them. And then those countries that have oranges, that have bananas, can export to other countries who don't have. So the famines that you see in Africa and the starvation that we see will gradually be averted. Well, that's why they get rid of Gaddafi, you know, because Gaddafi was talking the language that you just talk. Yes, Gaddafi was saying that we need our own. Yes, that's true. Yes. And then and these entities have the cooperation of African leaders and a lot of the African guineagogs that cooperate with them in siphoning off the resources of Africa. Well, my brother, I give thanks for the call. I really give thanks, and we will. I like this level of reasoning and dialogue, and as we go along, that it is so that ideas will ferment and grow and so on. So we give thanks, blessings and honor. One love. Right. Yes. Irie. Blessings and honor. Irie. Very good. Nice. Sister Katis? Mm-hmm. Yes. That was a very lively.
Yes. And I see you putting on the Garvey agenda, same way to get everything self-sufficient.
Yes.
That's the ultimate, you know?
Yes. Because General Marcus Garvey talk about the United States of Africa. Mm-hmm. And that if we unite, so much things will be attained and achieved. Definitely. And so forth. What's on Katis' agenda these days now? What's your next move, Sister Katis? Yes.
My next move, eh?
Yes.
Well, you know the funny thing you asked for that question, right?
Yes.
I went to an ITAL shop today. I think it's his name Spice. I don't remember the name, it was Matthew Spice. And I remember seeing I find it right here. I saw a quote from Martin Luther King as he asked me, what's my next move? It says,
Yes.
if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yes.
to answer your question, I'm moving forward,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And moving forward in terms of faith and works, because faith without works is dead. And we always have nation building on our minds and in our meditation and working on it as well. And we also have progressive agenda, because just as though you were talking to the caller just now about what Africa needs is really for us to get self-sufficient with everything, even questioning the current educational system that has been around for centuries,
Mhm.
creating our own curriculum, the black curriculum,
Yes.
our own agendas, our own health centers. This is something that we are behind time with. But I personally see this pandemic as an opportunity to get ourselves in order, that we're getting some extra time. Thing that we never do before, to do it now. So stop, get caught up in the whole pandemic and worry about this and that, and just keep working, keep moving forward. So that's the mission.
Which is very, very good.
Yeah.
A little nearer to brass tacks now. I know that the pandemic stalled some programs. Um, so in terms of, I know you're intricately involved, for example, in the basic school at the Orthodox Church. How has that been going? Or that was one of the things stalled also?
Well, it wasn't full start because children were coming in like not like not full force class
Yes.
in face to face to learn,
Yes.
and teachers also taught them via the online platform as well.
Mhm.
So it wasn't fully start, but again, in my perspective, it's an opportunity to have. It's the Orthodox school, right?
Yes.
But it's still operating from the Ministry of Education guidelines and curriculum.
Mhm.
And for example, as an Orthodox church, we've always wanted to teach the kids like full Amharic on the curriculum, not just teach it like a side thing.
Mhm.
Try to get it in the curriculum
As a main
as
aspect.
a main.
Yes.
That's how they put English compulsory.
Mhm.
It's an Ethiopian church. It warrants an Ethiopian agenda too, even part of it.
Mhm.
So it's an opportunity now to really advocate for that. Because as you know,
And as you say that, because I was speaking to my good brethren Jamaics today,
right,
and Jamaics used to coach a football team at Haile Selassie High School.
right.
And he says to me that apart from the name, there's nothing at the school that represents Haile Selassie.
Again, we go back to the same thing. In 1970, when Abaleke Mandefa, who became Abuna Isa, came to Jamaica to establish the faith, one of the things that he proposed to the Minister of Education at the time, Edwin Allen, was to teach American schools. There's an article in the Green, I have it as a clipping, you can refer to it, that was a headline. Minister says time not yet ripe to teach American schools, right?
Mhm.
That was 1970, So that's a 50 years ago. So we don't think time is right now. So time has
So you
been
can
right.
imagine where we would be now
Yeah, and
if that had started
of
then.
course. But what he had said though, what we never acted on, so I said we have to keep moving forward, is that he said even though the Ministry of Education was not allowing American the school curriculum at the time, he said it could be taught in evening classes at the school. Nobody took it up. You understand? So therefore, sometimes when we have these backlog of things that we should have done, our goals, our vision, we should have actually become reality already. But for us, check ourselves and say, okay, we never do it then. Let's not complain about it now. Let's try and do it now. Because we have now.
Mhm.
As you mentioned about Haile Selassie School, there really should be an agenda, Ethiopian agenda in some way, for even the history. They have a library down there recently, and there was an Ethiopian Orthodox priest visiting from England, touring the school, and he was asking in the library, do you have any books in here on America or so? And they didn't have one. You understand? And there are times I used to teach America down there like once a week in the club, but still not on the curriculum, just as a club thing,
Yes.
So anytime we want something to be done, we have to push and advocate for it. We can't depend on the government to do these things for us, to build us health centers, to put our agenda in school and all these things. And in 2014, the UNIA, in association with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, successfully got through to have the Haile Selassie School motto changed to Amharic, which is learning for living. If you go down there, you'll see it on the wall in Amharic, Lenura Temar. It's the only school in Jamaica that has an African motto translated in
Okay.
African language.
Very
That may be
good.
the only thing down there with Ethiopian.
With something Ethiopic.
Yes.
I was just flicking through my thing here to see if I have a copy of a letter that a group of I Rastafari had written, I think it was about 1980, to the Ministry of Education, asking that Amharic be taught,
Again.
music be taught in the school, got to the brothers and sisters, that a flag, the red, gold, and green flag with the lion,
Right.
be raised every morning.
Look at that.
And quite a number of some other things I don't recall all of them now. We wanted Rastafari to be on the board at the
Still
school,
possible. Still possible.
and so on. We had, because we had some Amharic teachers who were in the Orthodox Church at the time, who were willing to give up their time free. So we wrote. Some of the things I was accepted, and some was saying that we would have to work on. But again, that was 1980. That's 40 odd years
So
ago.
you see the follow from 70 to 80.
Yes.
And now 40.
And now 2021, and we're still asking about these things. So, but you can't have a school like that and it has no substance.
And that is what I'm saying. The onus is on us to hold them accountable. This is just like the ganja story. Just you know about the ganja where even though the drug they had changed, what you call it, adjusted the
name.
National Drug what's the act?
Dangerous Drugs
Dangerous Drug Act. It wasn't being enforced. You know what you
Even
find?
though it was amended.
Yes, it was amended. What I find is that whenever we do things, not just with our community, right? But generally, even in managing a company or somebody doing a business, it's a follow-up.
Yes.
It's the most important part of the whole thing.
Yes.
What some companies do, I've worked with corporate Jamaica, like say Grace Kennedy, as you know.
Yes.
And what I learned from there as a young girl was that when they sell their goods to the supermarkets island-wide, they don't send the salesperson to collect the money, you know. So you have the salesperson to sell Price Mart or Mega Mart, and get a collections officer to follow up to collect the money. Because what chances are the salesperson might get familiar with the customer, the client or the great customer, and they might feel like they can owe them more than the 14 days credit that the company offers. So I'm just using that to say this. Sometimes when we planning or making our plans and we want things to advocate, we have to, if we're too busy to follow up, get somebody to follow up. Just follow up. That person must just deal with follow up. Nothing else. No answer on a phone call. No write a letter. So that person, we have enough time to follow up. So when you follow up, now you must get results. And from 1970, that's how we're taking responsibility. So when you take responsibility, you can solve the problem. We take responsibility and say, okay, we didn't do that then. We learn from that. All right? We're going to make sure that we see it through. And so the result come. You see it through because the follow-up, get the thing done. Most business fail not because they never have a proper manager, so it's because of lack of follow-up. So in a way, but yeah, logically.
Simple too.
Yeah.
Sounds simple.
Yeah. Because somebody follow up, they pay you constantly, you know. The person can be a nag, but guess what? They get the result. At the end of the day, the essence is to get the result. Let be okay to be called a nag. That's your job. You're being a nagger. You know what I mean? But you get it done. So, Brother Miguel, I think the mission is always alive and just need to fulfill and keep advocating. And everything when you say, we still advocate for it and don't watch time because time is not, tomorrow's another day. I don't say tomorrow is Thursday. It's another day. Somebody say it's Thursday. Society say, but it's another day. It's another day to do something and to accomplish and to do what you never do today. To be a better person.
Yes, it's man make it Thursday. You know. Nature didn't make it Thursday.
Right.
Nature give you another day.
Oh, you know the difference.
Day and
If a
night.
child, if you ask a child what tomorrow is and they don't know, that is another day.
Yes.
You know. So it's that, I think we're coming to getting there. Everything is stages and we learn from the past to deal with the present and the future. you know. But we have to do it. Anything we are talk about, we never do. The elders will never do this. We have to stop say that and just get it done.
We will, certainly.
Yes.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, the program can kick off any better than that from you here, there, with Sister Ketis, one of our um, internationalists that knows how to inspire. And for those who know Sister Ketis, if you don't go by veggie meals on wheels and eat some of her cooking, then you don't realize the extent of the palm of her hands. So you're still by Regal Plaza, Sister
Yeah,
Ketis.
yeah,
Yes. And how is the business going even during this troubled time? More people eating ital, would you say? Natural?
I wouldn't say more people. More people are becoming aware. But you know, Jamaica have a culture of meat, you know, serious meat eating, you know.
Yeah.
Even they know that it'll kill them. It's a mentality of, boy, something have to kill me, I'm gonna stop eating. But what we know is that we prepare, the future belongs to those who prepared for it today. Not me say that, His Majesty, right? Haile
Yes.
Selassie.
Yes.
So we're not thinking about just, we're not doing it now. We're thinking about knowing and affirming that the future is ital food.
Yes.
Present is ital food. So whether you want to believe it or not, if the world come announce it on BBC or CNN or Instagram or whatever, that time will come when people realize that this is really the future.
Yes.
This is what we have to, no matter where we're from it, because the world is taking time to come around to the reality that we have to go back to the original. You know,
Yes.
you have to go back. Beginning, what you call it now?
Sankofa.
Yes, Sankofa.
Return to the
Yeah,
source.
because you will have no. If you're back against the wall and it's only wall you have in front of you, you have to push against the wall in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah.
So when people realize, say, boy, no matter how my lost is for this is my body don't really need it, and for survival, for longevity, for to live, you have to eat back as the earth, like nature.
Yes, the original.
Yeah. So we don't worry about the fall. What we do is prepare
Mhm.
to prepare for the not just food, you understand me?
Mhm.
Because like for example, like veggie meals and weeds, we have like transformed. You haven't been there in a while, so that's why you don't even know
Yes.
this.
Yes.
We don't just do food there anymore.
Yes.
It's like it's an entrepreneurial plaza. So we rent out like two parts, so people do other stuff like manufacture,
Okay.
ital products. However, like a shoemaker there. So it's like really empowering our people
Yes.
to do their own business. The same within Garvey concept of self-sufficiency.
Okay.
I will still have the ital food part there as well.
Okay.
And keep going and reviewing and reinventing.
Yes.
For
'Cause the mind is never static.
never. The mine is a gold mine. Napoleon Hill said more gold has been mined from the mine of man than from the earth. So just imagine that.
Absolutely. Yes, there you have it, brothers and sisters. Yeah, man. The seed of knowledge is planted and it will grow. Thanks a lot, Mama Setis
Yeah, give
and
thanks.
Ketis, and we're certainly going to be keeping in touch with you.
Yes.
One love.
Give thanks,
Blessings.
love, and give thanks for
Right.
having me.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And we give thanks for you blessing our little program. Give thanks. So I have my sister in here with me now, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself because I've been telling the people that my guest will be coming, and she's from Panama.
Yes.
And I need to get into my bag because I brought along a special book. I read it already, but I had to go and find it.
Right here?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is a library.
Yes. But you go and talk to the people. You go and talk to the people. I will know exactly where to find what. And so you go and talk. Introduce yourself. Tell them your name. And
Okay.
you end up in Jamaica.
Yes. My name is my original name that my father and my mother is Lisbeth Anayansis Perez. I'm a member of the Orthodox Church, which my name is Berhane Marianne. That means the light of the Holy Virgin Mary. So, greetings everyone in the name of Xavier Amla and in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Wasiro Asfa Nenem. Yes, as Brother Miguel said, I'm come from Panama. Actually, I'm the former president of the Rastafari Panama Alliance community. Actually, I'm the ambassador, international ambassador for the Rastafari Panama community. And I'm here in Jamaica since 1 year and a half, coming and calling the journey of the healing,
Yes.
giving and receive.
Yes. You continue. You continue.
I continue.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Why it is, and I've posed that question to our listeners already. Many of our early elders,
Yes.
Brother Leonard Howell, Honorable Marcus Garvey, Bedward,
Yes.
Hibbert,
Givers, yes.
and so on, many of them went to Panama.
Yes.
Talk to us. Why you think they know take up themselves from Jamaica and all went to Panama?
And Panama was, from the 80s, is the whole world, no, the movement, of the African people and the banana fruit company, the railroad and the Panama Canal.
Yes.
So, like for example, Marcus Garvey went to Panama in the 1910. That's when he left the islands of Jamaica and come to Panama. And the first stop he do was in the work in the Panama Banana Fruit Company that is located in the Caribbean side, an island called Bocas del Toro between Costa Rica and Panama. So,
And hold on. You have to go slow with our listeners there now because you just mentioned a name there and persons we're trying to rearrange the studio here as we get into some deep reasoning. No, you just mentioned an island. You said that island.
yes,
What's the name of it?
Bocas del Toro.
Slowly.
Bocas del Toro.
Oh, you spell that.
B
Uh-huh.
O
Uh-huh.
C A S
Uh-huh.
T
Uh-huh.
O R O S.
Toros.
Like the mouth of the bull.
Yes. Bocas
Toro.
del Toros.
Yes.
All right. And that's a little island.
Yes.
That's a little island. Is it off the coast of Panama or is it?
And the Caribbean side.
It's on the Caribbean
Yeah,
side,
the Atlantic side.
the Atlantic side.
Because Panama have both sides,
Yes.
Atlantic and Pacific.
And Pacific. Yes, yes. That's the whole idea of the canal, brothers and sisters, to join two oceans. Let me take out my atlas here so that we can, as we speak, it becomes more graphic, right?
Yes.
Sister Berhani.
Berhani.
Right. Sister Berhani is here to teach us.
To sh-
Well,
We're gonna share.
yeah, well, we'll share, but I don't mind being a student, I don't mind being a student at all as we scan through this little atlas that I've brought. I deliberately I bring a bigger atlas, but I bring a little one so that we can find the canal and locate the island that you have mentioned. So you're saying now that the Bocas del Toros was a little island on the Caribbean side, and a lot of our brothers and sisters from Jamaica um, took up residence on that island. Is that how it is?
Say that.
No, some of our brothers and sisters took up residence on that island.
Well, Marcus Garvey, but
The Honorable Marcus Garvey.
yeah, mostly of them take a place they call in Colon, in the
Colon.
Atlantic side too.
Yes.
Yes, the province of Colon, because Bocas del Toro is a province too.
All right.
And
All
they have-
right.
yes,
All right. So I'm looking at the map here now.
yes.
Yeah, draw your thing over. Yes, persons, if you have a map of the Caribbean. And your children must have a little atlas or something. Or somebody, you can find a map on your phone, but the phone tends to be a little smallish. If you get an atlas, one of your children must have an atlas in the house, right?
Yes, it will
So-
be easy to look for Panama and the map of Panama.
You
will
look on the
take
map
you-
of Panama in
Yes.
Central America,
Yes.
right? So now, make we sit now. We have Panama right here.
Yes.
You see it here. And the canal now, the canal runs from the Gulf of Panama
Yes.
over to the Caribbean Sea.
Yes.
Not so?
From the Atlantic to the Pacific, the Pacific to the Atlantic.
Right. And what's the population of Panama?
4 million.
4 million people.
Right.
Right. And you also have the Gulf of Panama, and I see like you have a little island right there.
Right here is the canal. You see what
Uh-huh.
right here. You see this? It's called.
Yes, that little
Yes, yes.
that's where the canal is.
Yeah.
All right. So
So
brothers and
this side-
sisters, this is the canal now that they cut through the land. The land was there, right?
Yes.
And they cut through the land now in order to join the Caribbean Sea, which is nearer to the Atlantic Ocean, so as to be able to come through from the Atlantic Ocean,
You
come
see?
through the Caribbean Sea, and then you come over into the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
Now I see you're measuring from Kingston to Panama.
Yeah, you can see.
It's almost a
right
straight line,
here. Yes, exactly.
almost a straight line coming down.
Yes.
And
And this
so
is
on.
the side of Costa Rica.
You have
You
Costa
see it?
Rica there,
Where
you have
there is-
Nicaragua.
This is Bocas del Toro is located right here. You see them now?
Oh, you see the islands there, Bocas. So it is
Mhm.
nearer between Panama and Costa Rica.
It's in the border.
It's at the
because
border.
It's the end. At this side
Yes.
is frontier with Costa Rica, and this side is frontier with Colombia.
Yes.
So that's why unified from this coming on the road, crossing, go San Jose, Guatemala, Honduras,
Is
Mexico,
there
and
a
go to
Pan American
You see?
highway
Yes,
that joins, say, from Brazil, that you could drive from Brazil?
it's a roads.
There are roads.
Going and from each countries, until they reach Colombia, and Colombia they have to come near to this place.
Yes. Because we see the caravans now of people walking, traveling from a lot of these places. Some of them coming from Venezuela, some coming from Colombia, and they're all walking to the United States.
Exactly, because you see it right here, Costa Rica, Nicaragua.
So you come through
Honduras.
Panama,
Yes.
then you go through Costa Rica, then you go through Nicaragua, you go through Honduras, then you go through, is that Guatemala?
Yes.
Guatemala is there.
Belize.
Belize is to the north. We have to go through Belize.
Yes.
Belize is up here. Then you go through Guatemala, then you go through Mexico.
Yes.
Mexico and Mexico borders with the United States.
Exactly.
And we see people walking from Colombia, from Venezuela,
From ancient
to get
of
there.
time.
From
Oh,
ancient of time.
yeah, from the beginning.
it's a-
From the beginning, it's been,
it has
Panama
been
is
done like that.
being playing a big role, because it's unified, it's in the middle of the world. Also, Panama have, it's in the same longitude of as Ethiopia.
Oh,
Yes.
the same longitude.
Yes.
That is this
Ethiopia
line
direct
that
with
comes down
Addis
here.
Ababa. Yes.
It's the same as Addis Ababa.
Yes, it's in the same
Right.
direct.
Yes. It's almost the same longitude with the Jamaica too.
Exactly, it's direct. So
Yes.
it's always been.
It's the same long coming down.
Yes.
All right. But what I want to know is why you think some of our great elders went to Panama?
Because was in that time was the banana fruit company, the Brown
Okay.
Rastafari did. So and they went looking for better opportunities of work, In that
Yeah, but
time,
Jamaica have what
And they-
3.5 million people. Well, not at that time. But Panama now have 4.
no 5 million people now.
Panama has now
Yes,
5 million.
yes.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So yes, let me highlight this something for
Yes. And
So they
mhm,
went there, and like it was not just Marcus Garvey was there first,
mhm,
was and I know him by my elders. They've been passing knowledge to me by reasoning that he was having families over there, and he went to come and meet with his families, their members,
mhm.
and he started working in the
Oh, Honorable Marcus Garvey.
yes.
So this knowledge of Marcus Garvey coming to Panama and going there and so on. It's talked about a lot in Panama. Do Panama
Yes,
remember?
because it's in Panama where he's opened his eyes.
Or is Panama helping to open my eyes?
Yes, but
Okay,
remember, before him, he was not the first really on
Panama.
to
Um,
to express the message to black kid was going to be crowned to look to Africa to the east. It was not the first
mhm.
because Alexander Bedford,
Bedwood, yes.
yes, he was already in. He have it, his church, his places in Panama already. We still have it present.
You still
The
have the presence of
of the
Bedwood Church
priest, yes, of the
in
priest,
Panama even
yes,
now?
yes.
Wow, wow.
And I do a
So
story.
Bedwood was there and he established his church in Panama.
Yes, yes,
I think Bedwood Church was it had different names over the years. At one point it was Zion Baptist Church.
yes, exactly.
Another time it was Ethiopian Baptist Church,
Yes,
and so on.
yes.
But Bedwood's
Different name.
church is you still have the place there and
Yes,
so on.
yes, especially in Bocas del Toro, because when I was in the position as a president of the Rastafari Alliance Community of Panama, I do a work that is calling the Discovering Rastafari Pan African Congo in Panama.
Mhm, mhm.
So that was in 2018. So I had to do a lot of research, and I have to look for each of those elders, icons, and Rastafari and Pan Africanism, Black Nation. So to bring all that into, you know, to pass all that knowledge to each one and everyone who was coming to the exposition. So the point was bring that knowledge and education to everyone,
Mhm,
with
mhm,
facts.
mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
So I found in the Bocas del Toro, in Colón too, still, and that was the name, the Zion Church.
Mhm. The Zion Church.
Yes.
That was Bedwood's church.
Yes. They having another name for the church.
Oh, they have a different name for it
Yeah,
now.
it was not Kumina, the other one. Revival.
Oh, Revival.
Revival Church.
Okay.
Yes. Revival Church.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wow. Um, the I'm going through a book here now, which when I knew that you were coming on the program, that I wanted to write. For our listeners, because people not seeing it, the book is entitled Black Writers in Latin
Latin
America.
America.
Yes, Black Writers in Latin America. It is written by Richard L. Jackson. Black Writers in Latin America, written by Richard Jackson. And there is a section here, it's entitled The Black Swan, Gaspar Octavia Hernandez, Panama's Black Modernist Poet. The name they have here, they describe him as Panama's Black Modernist Poet, and they give his name as Gaspar, Gaspar, Gaspar Octavia Hernandez.
Octavio Hernandez.
Yes. You ever heard of him in Panama?
Yes.
He's a poet, he's a
Yes,
writer.
he's a poet. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
But would they classify him as a progressive writer?
Yes.
Hernandez. Yes, they would classify him as a. In
That
other
was
words,
in
he
the
writes
19s, yeah.
on behalf of the people, on behalf of the
Yeah.
struggle in
Yes.
Panama.
And that's what happened with Marcos Garvey when he came
Yes.
and worked in the banana fruit company plantation that's documented. He saw the struggle,
He saw the struggle, yes.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and what all African people was going through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when he opened his eyes and started his Pan-Africanism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, like, for example, Cuba is the place, the country with more unions, and Panama is the second.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes. Even
Okay.
in the first convention in the Square Garden
Mm-hmm.
in New York, you can see, I have a picture for you, that you can see Panama was present already with the,
Mm-hmm. Now, as you search for that now, there were also some other writers. Um, tell you of other black writers in the literary history of Panama. For example, oh, I see you showing the picture here on the phone. Those are some Panama.
that was in
Yeah,
the first convention that we have.
in Panama,
You know, remember?
in New York.
Yes,
You mean Marcus Garvey?
yes,
Okay, yes, that's a big convention.
yes. Panama was already there
Yes. All right. There are
with
some.
the representatives.
Oh, at that convention of Garvey, Panama had
Yes, our
representative
representative
there.
was there already.
All right. Very good. Very good. There are some other writers in Panama. Um, there's one Jose Dolores Urelio. Urelio, probably not me.
Aurelio,
Aurelio. Urriola.
Aurelio,
Yes, Jose Dolores Aurelio. He was known as the mulatto
the
Aurelio.
mulatto.
Mulatto.
Mulatto means black.
Oh, mulatto means black.
Yeah.
I see. So when we say mulatto here in Jamaica, we tend to think of a person who is a mixture of black and white.
Yes, it's a mulatto.
Yes, mulatto. So Aurelio was a mulatto. You know anything about him?
No.
All right. He lived between 1834 and 1883.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yes, they said he was a sharp-tongued improviser of satirical and epigrammatic verses. So apparently he was sharp, he was witty.
Must be because in those times Panama went through a lot. It was the whole movement, you know.
Yes.
And there was a lot of what Marcos Garvey says in the, I call it the injustice, the unbalance, and the mistreating of our people. So Panama went through a lot. We have a lot, like we have in Jamaica Nani, we have a lot of heroes
In Panama.
warriors in Panama.
What are the warriors?
Yes,
Tell us some of them names.
Like
Even though it's in a
Bayano.
Bayano.
You know Bayano?
No, I don't know. That's why I say I'm a student tonight.
We are both students.
Yes. Bayano.
Bayano
Yes.
is one. From the natives, Uraka too.
Yes. What did some of these women do? Them fight like Nanny?
This is a man. But yes, of course, it was a lot involved in, like, women was involved too in the movement of liberation. For example, in Panama independence, because Panama is being independent from the 90s, you know.
The 90s.
Yes, early.
The 90s, early.
Yeah, because we independent from Colombia and from Spain too.
From Spain, yes.
Yes.
Spain, yes.
We
And there was a time when they sort of twinned Panama with Colombia. Panama is beside Colombia. And for some reason, they tend to just twin them together.
They say like Panama was part of Colombia.
Yes.
The Great Granada.
The Great Granada, yes. That's how they call it, yes. All right, another writer, Federico Escobar, 1861 to 1912. He was known as the humble carpenter, and some people refer to him as the Black Bard, like a writer. So Federico Escobar,
Federico Escobar.
yes,
Federico Escobar.
all right. You know about his
No.
writings. Um, Now, what they said about Federico Escobar is that he was the most unashamedly black of the Panamanian group and the most straightforward in his approach to himself, to his trade, and to his country. So apparently he was quite proud that he was black. Because I should imagine Panama has a lot of brownish looking people.
No, Panama is a mix.
Yes, a mixture.
Really, like, for example,
But the
here in
majority,
Jamaica, it was native people.
native people, black
Yeah.
people,
Native, like Indian people,
In-
like Taino people.
Taino people.
Actually, we still have a 7 tribe, and each tribe have their own dialect and dress different.
Oh, you mean 7 Tainos tribe?
Yes, 7 Indian people. Yes.
Yes, in Panama.
Yes, we still have a person.
Oh.
Mhm.
And you're saying that each tribe have their own dialect?
Yes.
In other words, they have their own language.
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay. So, but Spanish is the main language spoken there.
Yes.
But even within the tribes and now, they have their own dialect that they communicate.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so even if I know Spanish and I come there now with some of these tribes, I may not know what they're saying.
Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting. Um, then there is Cristobal Martinez. Cristobal Martinez, known in literary circles as Simon or Simon Rivas.
Simon Rivas.
Simon Rivas. Rivas was also called the Panamanian Poe. Panamanian Poe, Poe, partly because of his fantasies, which he called nocturnes. Mhm, mhm, yes. But the Black Swan, however, as Gaspar Octavia Hernandez was called, was the most established and best known literary reputation of this group, at least in his country, even though he had the shortest life. Um, Gaspar Octavia Hernandez. He only lived for 25 years, like young when he passed.
Yes.
But
That
apparently,
was in the 80s.
he must have done quite a bit of writing and
So
so forth.
he must be very skillful
Hmm.
and very conscious about in that time and what he was living going.
Well, what had happened was now his son, Gaspar Octavia Hernandez's son, was the one who put together his father's works and had it published after his father died. So we are to thank his son for quite a bit of that.
Continue the legacy.
Yes, of their father. So a lot of Jamaicans went to Panama.
Of course,
Mhm.
like I said in the beginning, from the fruit company after the Panama Canal,
So they went to work at the banana fruit company.
yes,
I think it was known as Tate and Lyle or something like that.
yes.
And then after that, quite a number of Jamaicans came there to work on the canal.
Not quite it was a lot,
A lot.
and just not just Jamaica, Barbados, Martinica, all these islands of the Caribbean.
Oh, they sent citizens
Yes,
to work the canal in Panama.
that's why we in Panama have, when you go to Bocas del Toro, people speak patois.
Jamaican patois.
Yeah, people speak patois. All the whole island is their main language. And when you go to Colon, they still in the Caribbean side, the people speak patois. and they
You mean
mostly
Jamaican
black,
patois?
but yes, yes.
So like you hear people say, boy, I'm not go. Them things they hear. Yes. Come here, man.
Not so like coming around, but
Yes.
because it's changeable still talking,
But patois.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have another part in the Caribbean too. There's the Congo people. That's different from the Caribbean people.
The Congo people now.
The Congo.
You mean they actually come from the Congo in Africa?
Yes.
So you had people from, well, a lot of us were brought out of Africa and up here. But how did these Congolese come to Panama?
As we said from the beginning, Panama always be in connection with Africa, Ethiopia directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I mentioned to you the other day in our reasoning, uh, Brazil is one of the country with more African diaspora population, but Panama is the country with more kingdoms out of Africa.
More kingdoms out of Africa.
Yes,
Panama have more representative of the different kingdoms of Africa.
yes. Now more population, but different kingdoms like the Guinea,
Oh.
Mali,
Like the what? Talking to me.
the Guinea kingdom, the
The Guinea
Mali,
kingdom.
yes, the
Mm-hmm.
Congo. Actually, we still have the Congo queen in Panama. Is a queen in the
It's a
Congo.
queen.
Yes,
So you have the Congo queen,
yes,
and you're saying those Congolese people came from Africa,
of course.
from the Congo. So they're called Congo in Panama.
Yes,
Oh.
with the Congo people,
Mm-hmm.
and they have uh, time where they make celebrations.
They have celebrations and so on.
Yes,
Um,
traditions. They have their traditions
mhm.
from
The
the
celebrations
beginning.
and so that they brought from Africa.
Of course.
Oh, the Congo people. Mm-hmm.
So Panama is it's a place with a mix, the
Mm-hmm.
Creole, how they call it, because it's Indian, Chinese, black, so it's a mix. So like for us, it's like oh, we have the three blood mostly,
Mm-hmm.
because the mix from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In Panama.
Yes.
All right. So for those who just joining us, um, I'm speaking with Sister Berhani. She was a former president of the Rastafari movement in Panama,
Yes.
and at one point you were the general secretary of the movement in Panama. So you're steeped in Rastafari philosophy and so on. You're now sojourning in Jamaica,
Yes.
and so we wanted to know more about Panama. How is the Rastafari movement in Panama? How is that coming along?
Like we said from the beginning, or most of our elders and prophets learned most of about Rastafari, and because the Panama lacks, like I said, the construction of the canal,
Uh-huh.
you see. So that's why I said Panama lacks. You don't just find the Panama lacks in the canal, but the Rastafarian people, the Congo people, the black people, and the Bushmen being the case before,
Mm-hmm.
long time it's been in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, actually, the community is a big community,
Mm-hmm.
and
That is
we
the Jamaican descendants and all of that. Well, not just Jamaican, but the Congo people and other people, the Taino people and all of that. Mm-hmm.
Rastafari always been present in Panama
Mm-hmm.
because that's when what we say in the beginning, Bedward and
Howell,
Marcus Garvey, Howell, all
Marcus
of them
Garvey,
went before there,
Hibbert.
yes, and
Mm-hmm.
learned.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something was happening right there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they bring the message, come back to Jamaica and spread the message to the world. But they
Mm-hmm.
learned it in Panama. So it must be happening. The movement was being there from the beginning. That connection between
Mm-hmm.
Africa, Panama, and the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So our community
So with the Congo people now, they speak what language in Panama? They speak their Congolese language?
they have a way to speaking, sometimes like it's inverse, but they still speaking mostly of them normally Spanish. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But when they have their ceremonies and festivals and so on,
They speak in like their own language like that way. Yes.
they speak the Congo language. Okay, okay. So you made the point that Brazil have more people
Yeah.
from Africa, black people, but you're saying that Panama has the representative of more kingdoms
Yes.
in Panama. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, make we listen to a little music here now. You know, as we here now try to overstand this Panama Jamaica connection. Because, like I said, quite a number of our great elders at some point, including the Honorable Marcus Garvey, went to Panama, worked in Panama before moving on to the United States. Yes.
Reaching out to Babylon.
Yeah, mention it.
God was the start before the I don't really want to say they don't really care about us. I don't really want to say they don't really care about us. I don't really want to say they don't really care about us. I don't really want to say they don't really care about us. They don't care what we eat and them don't care what we sleep. Them don't care what we live and what they have to give. They care about the fight and they care about their boss. They don't care if you want to go up with something but just they give them money plus and them take it plus. Let them get what they want with the bus. Give it a long gun and them do it with the bus. No way up it up it well. All I really wanna say they don't really care about us. All I really wanna say they don't really care about us. All I really wanna say they don't really care about us. All I really wanna say they don't really care about us. They don't care about the children who's walking. They don't care about the children who don't go to school. They don't care about the children they want them to be fooled. But now I am here on the king's road. Rastafari is facing a cancer. When is it gonna turn? When is it gonna be for the kids to be free? All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. They don't care about the people in the rural area. Don't care about the people in the rural Canada. Yes, they hear them from a suffer for second. They want them in the family, so when them can't get to jail, they can't get to jail, and them can't get a bill. Them never get them no formal education. They do them grow up with the politics. What's their motive? Legislation. Now you see it. You can't be
Yeah, Maroons in Panama. Okay.
All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. All I really wanna say that I really care about us. Yeah. They don't care what we eat and them don't care what we sleep. They don't care what we live and what they have to give. They care about the life and they care about their boss. They don't care if they want to go up with some questions. They give them money
I
plus
guess
and they
because
send them plus. Let them get what they want with the bus.
you and I continued his work.
All I really wanna wanna say they don't really care about us. All I really wanna say they don't really care about us.
The Panama Canal.
Yeah, man. They don't really care about us. Not a problem. Blessings, brother. Give thanks. Give thanks. So we have to care about us and care about one another.
Yes.
We're talking about Panama. We have our sister Berhani here with us. Now, Berhani, there are quite a number of countries that I have been to, especially in the Caribbean. When I go to countries like St. Vincent, they take me into some areas that says, look, this was an area whereby when our brothers and sisters, in some instances, when the ships were passing, I don't want to use the word slave ships, but ships were passing, many of our brothers and sisters jumped overboard and swam to these islands and set up colonies there. In some instances, like in the case of St. Vincent, our brothers and sisters had overthrown the captain of a ship,
Yes.
fling him overboard, him and him
Yes.
whiting,
Yes.
sail the ship into St. Vincent, and they intermarriage now with the Toinas there,
Yes.
you know, and in some cases the Arawaks, and so build a community there. And that community still have roots even until today in St. Vincent. But what had happened was that in a lot of these communities, because we in Jamaica tend to figure, say, it's only Jamaica had Maroons.
Mhm.
But in these communities, a lot of them, they had Maroons also. And they sometimes call it different name because I think the Spanish is Cimarrones.
Cimarron. Cimarrones.
Cimarrones.
Yes.
So St. Vincent had Cimarrones. St. Lucia, in St. Lucia, they refer to them Maroons who took to the hills again.
Yes.
It's almost once you have hills, you know,
Yes.
you have some Africans gone, you know.
Yes.
So in St. Lucia now, they were called the Negmaho. Neg, it have something to do with Negro. And Mao, a sort of free. In some cases, they want to give the impression as a wild Negro. But you know, when some call a wild, it means they were free spirited.
Yes.
So they were referred to when I went there. They took me some part of the place named the Morn and said this was where the Negmaho congregated. And when I went to the library and did some research, I realized they were the Maroons as such, you know. Because St. Lucia was more French than other countries. I went to Dominica. They know them have some nice hills and some nice rivers in Dominica. Holy for river.
Yes.
So, you know, once we have water and hills, a guy can't follow in the mountain.
And because Niger was that, the waters, rivers was like the waves. They traveling, they move. Remember,
They use the water to
they
move.
wanted to,
Yeah.
as they boarded all the African, all the Caribbean, the Atlantic, all the coast, and the river was the roads too.
Rivers was the roads. All right.
Yes.
So same way in Dominica, um, and even to today, Dominica has a Carib settlement of Caribs from that ancient time. And you know, them teach us about the Caribs were warlike and fierce and brutal. And well, the settlement in Dominica, some loving people that I went there and see. But the point is that they too had Maroons in Dominica. And I'm talking Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica, the Caribbean island, as different from the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
But almost all of these islands have what we would call Maroons.
Exactly.
And not just the islands, but the They take, for example, Suriname. Suriname, now, if you look at the map, that's in South America there. So you have Guyana here.
Yes.
So you have Suriname right beside
Yes.
Guyana. At one point, you had Guyana was known as British Guyana.
Mhm.
Suriname was known as Dutch Guyana. And then besides Suriname, now you have Cayenne, which was French Guyana. So the country, now Britain, Dutch, and French, divide up that northern part of South America into these countries. Now Suriname have a very rich um, maroon culture, very rich. But what I discovered in some of these islands and some of these countries that have this strong maroon culture was that these were people that were never enslaved as such. What I mean is that they came over on the ship, but the day the ship touched land, them gone.
Thank you. And many of them too, not just when they touch land, when they see land
When
near,
them
then
see land,
jump
them
and
jump overboard
overboard.
and swim come to the land.
Yes. Yes.
So they were never broken, as it were,
Yes.
and then take to the bush and has been living there ever since.
Yes.
You had that in Panama?
Yes, we have that in Panama too. That's why we say Bayano, and he was a strong warrior defending.
Bayano.
And the name of the river in the side right here, that between Darien and Colombia, this area right here, he defended this area, and he fights, with the Spains and in that time.
Oh, but this area is called the Gulf of Darien.
Yes,
Darien. So that was named after Dorano, you think? Yes. So it's a Dorano and these people. Bayano, sorry. So they when they landed, they took to the bush in Panama.
Yeah.
So so you do have descendants of those people there in Panama today.
Yes, today, yes, we have it. We still have it.
And they are proud of their heritage.
Of course, and that in Panama is so interesting because, like example, in this area, they have the other black people too, and they have different traditions and ways, than the one in Cologne and then the ones in Bocas. Yes, they have.
And you're saying that these people were not, in other words, they were not broken and taken to the plantation. Once they jump off the boat, whether they jump off the ship out there or so on, they went to the bush and they secured their freedom.
Yes, yes, and including they set what they call it, like palenques, communities. They have communities, and in that time.
Yes.
Yes. They have their own system.
Their own system.
Systems, exactly. Their own systems.
Their own rituals and so on.
Their own way of living,
So Panama have a lot of different, all those black people, but you have from the Congo, you have from the Caribbean.
The Antillians, like calen los antillanos, los afroantillanos, los caribeños, afrocaribian, afroantillanos, panafricanos, from Panama, Africa. And that's from the black nation, the Africans.
Yes.
Without mention, the one are mixing with Spain people. Those are different too. It's different. Each region in Panama, each province have different culture.
5 million, you say? Yes. So there's a lot to learn when one comes to Panama.
Oh, so much. Because in one moment you're in the Caribbean with a culture different, and you go to next side the Pacific, like on the central
Mhm.
of Panama, and it's a different culture too.
Wow.
But still everything related to the black, to African.
Back to Africa.
Yes,
Black.
because even in this area, in the middle and the central,
Mhm.
they have different traditions, like the folklore of Panama, the typical and all the tradition, but everything's have to be with drums, and the drums come from Africa, so everything is related to.
For Africa.
Yes,
And so there are a lot of drumming that takes place in Panama.
yes,
Wow. And usually with drumming, we have our creative dancing
yes, exactly, and dresses and
and dress. You have to dress up and
just beautiful.
very beautiful.
Yes.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, so there you have it, people, and when enough for enough time, when I get little break and little holiday or little vacation and a run gone to America. Well, think of some of these islands.
It's not an island. Panama
No,
is
well,
not an
no,
island.
no, I know. Thanks for the correction, but I just said somebody. I was thinking of Saint Vincent, Cuba, Dominica, and these islands here. All of these islands, Barbados, you know, Haiti, and so on, the Bahamas, because I find that these islands, and when I say the mainland now, Central America, Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, going up, all of these places have some rich, divergent cultures.
And they have to be with African people.
Mhm.
It is every. I've been traveling this, like I've been to Colombia.
Yes.
Like 3 years ago, I went to no, 4 years ago I went to Colombia with a group, and we went to go to witness, because in Colombia is a big struggle with African people, with black people.
In Colombia.
Yes, and
They
everything.
oppress black people in Colombia.
Oh, this,
It's bad.
yes. And it's
Okay.
not just the government, but
The
what
mentality of the people.
no, it's like, like the affairs and those groups that are in wars.
Oh, you're talking the guerrilla movements and so on.
Yes, the
That is in the
afar
jungle
movements,
of
all these
Colombia.
things. Yes, too.
Oh,
It's very,
very dangerous.
yes, but at the same time, you can see the people are so strong and proud and defending themselves. I was there to witness how much the mistreating and the injustice the people live in, and especially in Buenaventura, Colombia. There's were more black people,
Hmm.
but that's the area where is the ocean,
Hmm.
and we know the geographical
That's the
positions.
Pacific Ocean.
Yes,
Hmm.
so the geographical position of places have a lot to be with what is going on even today, even with Ethiopia, because the geographical positions.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in this area is like 3,000 families, and it's still the houses like ancient times in the water. That they have 4 posts and they build it over the water. So they want, like the government and the big companies want to take all the people from that area to they keep in building their ports.
Hmm.
So that's why it's so much injustice in that area,
Hmm.
and it's really
Hmm.
sad.
Wow. Wow. All right. And then from the islands, like we said, no, sometimes take a little vacation. There's a direct flight. There used to be a direct flight, Cooper,
Yes, it's a direct
from
flight and just
Jamaica to
take one
Panama.
hour.
1 hour from J to Panama.
Yes.
That's 1 hour.
Yes.
Nice.
See my
It
house?
still exists. It's the flight still going now.
Yes. Panama and Jamaica always been having a good relationships, as we
Okay.
say it, because it's
So we
easy
not have to
to
go through
visit.
no other country
No, and
and
it's
thing.
much to go and see.
Just yes. 1 hour here from Kingston to Panama.
One of the wonderful of the work is the Panama Canal that is building and sweat and blood over people.
Mhm.
And again, we go back to Marcus Garvey. Even in the actuality, uh, the syndicates of the Panama Canal own that to Marcus Garvey. So he created the syndicates
Mhm.
because he see the injustice of people who working
The
hard and
syndicate,
the
you're thinking of the unions that he helped to form
yes, but the
for
syndicate of the equal rights and
advocating
justice.
for people's equal
Yes,
rights and justice. Yeah, because
yes.
I understand it was quite bad. You know, people were working all um, 18 hours and those type of thing and getting little or no pay and so on.
Silver roll and gold roll. So the one work hard get silver and the other one was getting gold. So
Hmm.
it should be equal, you know.
Right.
Yes.
So I
And
can
that
just
time they play
imagine
with gold
in
and
them
silver.
time that they must have hate Marcus Garvey in terms of him, not the people, but the owners of these companies.
But
'Cause
was
like I
not
said,
just
him
the
go to
company, but was the Panama Canal in that time, the Panama Canal construction. Because they before was the French people start to building the canal and they could not.
well, the French started it first.
Yes, and
Yes.
after was the Americans.
And then the Americans came in. I see. I see. Wow.
So a lot of people died building that canal.
This is what I understand.
Yes, so much.
Well, them drowned them. What?
The conditions. Yes, the conditions of the place, you know.
Yellow fever,
The
mosquitoes.
mosquitoes and
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes.
malaria.
Malaria. Ah, I
Yes.
see. I see. I see.
The only one who stand on it was black people, strong can be under
Endure.
the sun. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I understand thousands died.
Oh,
Yes. To build that canal.
yes, and thousands stay in Panama after that. That's why we have all these descendants, you know, the Jamaican, Barbados, you know, this still
Antigua and
do.
so on. That you still have
Yes, so
those.
that's why so many of them back, but many of them just stay in Panama, and their families still coming because it was good at the same time to live there because it was what was going in that time. It was the place. Panama was a place to come and make, you know what they say, better standard of life, working and so. But at the same time, was a lot of slave brought to Panama to work too.
Mhm.
Not just the people who emigrate to work, but all the slaves that was before there too.
Wow.
The Canal of Panama has so much story.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Build My Nation, Nelly Star, and she is out of Dominica.
Oh,
Nelly Star, yes.
Dominica, the island, the place.
Yes, commonwealth of Dominica, the place. Dreadlocks, Rastafari. Yes.
So we have more pictures in here like we Bongo Tally in 2005 the Nightingale yes, and Shepherd. Remember Shepherd? Okay, Mama Fire and then was so Jesus they grow a lot of slaves. So I know there was a person who was trying to build a monument to Panama with a big tear. Below. Remind the canal was built in tears.
But that didn't finish, didn't come on. It's still being built. It's there, it's still being built.
The project is
The project is still there.
there's a project
All right, so we're going to talk a little about that, a little more about the building of the monument.
Yes, they're looking forward to it. Now they say the blood was low down the
No, yes, we're Shepherd Park. Going to the heart? And talk on the radio. Would she be willing to talk on the radio? Huh?
It would be good. That would be the church.
Yes, correct. I still want to say greetings to Jamaica.
Oh, you look beautiful. Look at her. We at the radio station. Do you would like to sing
Yes,
greetings
right. If
to Jamaica?
you could attach the phone, you can let me see how we can talk.
Yes, you would
Use your
like
phone,
to
brother.
say greetings to
No,
Jamaica.
it's a phone, no, use your phone. I'm not sure about that phone. A song ending.
Yes. All right. Yes.
Get the number, I'm calling back.
Yes. All right. All right. Yes. Get the
We're gonna
number
call you
here.
back, okay?
Yep.
Please answer.
We're just doing a little connection here. We're gonna have Young and Zinga. We want you all to hear her voice. She's still in the hospital, but she's coming along nicely. She's in good spirits. So just give him the number. Yes, right. Just write on the number here and give him and let him call her back. In the meantime, let me read this poem for you. Yes, for all our great people. It's entitled Sankofa. And it says here, recall a time when Obi made God man, reaching from the soul of the Ngungu Ezriki, and the river Niger, where Olumba mixed mud and tears. black like his own memory, recite the Sankofa Ilia Ivy. Go back, fetch it from Victoria. So, wo werfe na, wo Sankofa a Yankee. Bend and whisper his name 3 times. Olumba, Olumba, Obo. Return the spirit of Ashantewia, trapped on seashells in the Felucas. Retrieve this your ancestral past, gagged and mob-bounded in these forgotten centuries. Stolen legacy. Recall how Susan made Akoma one and caused the Zambezi to flow. How the Ohine and Niwa protect all. Go back, fetch it from Pasha. Dance the Sankofa. Dance the Sankofa. And that is from the book Jungle Me, an anthology of poetry by none other than Sister Kabu.
Kabu.
Yes. So I like her Sankofa there. I may not get all the pronunciations accurate, but if I practice and keep practicing, I will get it
Like
eventually.
we will say in the beginning,
Yes.
Sankofa is
So that
the
is,
past, or we have to be with the present and the future.
yes, Jungle Me, an anthology of poetry. Let me retreat with that now as we move forward. Nice. Greetings, Sister Nzinga. How are you?
I'm good, also good night.
Good night and blessings. Yesterday was your birthday.
Yes.
All right. So you got what? You got cake and sorrel and all of them things?
No,
The doctor don't want to eat too much of that.
no, we're not active to private college.
All right. Nice. We just saw a picture of you on the WhatsApp there, and you look nice. You're looking good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay, I'm feeling fine. Just giving thanks and praises to the Most High.
Give thanks.
Yes, I.
Give thanks.
Thanks.
Talk to Jamaica now, because you know when people hear you in the hospital, them things say you're sicky and all sorts of things and so on. When we came to see you last week, you don't look sick.
No,
Yes. So tell Jamaica now, because you know you have become a household name. Lots of people wondering, asking how things coming along and so on. So we're more at this time now. We're more concerned about your health. We want you to feel, get better, come out of the hospital, go home, resume your studies, all these things. They don't give you an idea, you know, when you might be coming out.
no.
What is the actual state of your health? What is the last result?
Well, they said they're giving me some blood thinner now because they say the blood was clotting and they said that linked to my heart and that's fatal. So they give me some blood thinner.
Okay, give you some blood thinner to sort of dilute the blood. I see. Oh, the blood had gotten thick. All right. So probably in a few days' time you might be out. Yes. Now, are you reading?
Yes, I'm reading because I got some books the other day.
Yes. Have you read the one on Nzinga?
Yes, that's the one I read first.
Yes. So you see why your parents named you Nzinga? She was a great warrior queen,
Yes,
in Angola.
yes, and being a great warrior queen, and now I am the warrior queen.
Yes.
That's so good. That's so
Thanks.
good. So you know what your journey is like now,
Yes,
And it was predicted from that time to this time until now.
yes.
Beautiful.
So I know that I am purpose, Purpose cannot die.
Yes. Beautiful. And then now from Nzinga, which is the next one you're going to read, or have you started the other one yet?
I've read the one about Marcus Garvey.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful. And what you gather from that one on Marcus Garvey? What you gather from that one? Is he deserving to be treated so great?
Yes, he's deserving to be treated so great because he fought for black people, freedom, and rights, our rights, we fight for our rights, we fight for freedom for black people.
Yes. And as we go along, so you finished that one also?
Yes.
Nice. So you're going on to which one next?
Well, I will be reading
Oh, the Holy PB, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That one was written by Athley Rogers. And Athley Rogers is actually from Anguilla. You know, there are a group of islands that was known as St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla. And Athley Rogers is actually from Anguilla in the Caribbean, one of the Caribbean islands. And the Holy PB has been referred to many times as the Black Man's Bible. Yes. So you'll find that interesting. And you'll, yes, there is a prayer in it. There's a prayer in that book, which is similar to the prayer that we say at Nyabingi tradition. You have come across the prayer yet?
Well, I just started I read the introduction because I just finished the one Marcus Garvey and just started this one this season.
Okay, okay. But there is a prayer in it which is very, very similar to what we say at the Nyabingi when we chant our prayer. So you're going to come up on it and so on. All right. So in terms of the hospital, they have been treating you reasonable?
Yes, I treated me reasonable.
All right. And you get to take your little walks and all of that and do your little exercise?
Well, sometimes, not all the time. I know persons are walking off the wall, going away. Don't know they're not listening to anybody else.
Oh, persons have been walking and going home? Oh, so they don't want nobody come out to the ward? All right, beautiful. So for all those listening, the one who just joined us, this is the program Bitter Sugar. Brother Miguel Lorne here, and we have as my co-guest here, Sister Berhani, who is actually from Panama, and she has been teaching us about Panama. And then we're honored now to be talking to none other than Queen Nzinga Candace King. Yes, same Queen Nzinga, who is in the hospital at Lionel Town. But I can tell you it's not catastrophic, but they are observing her, and like she said, no, they are giving her some blood thinner to make sure her circulation is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Right. So Nzinga, anything else you want to add to tell Jamaica, so on? Go ahead, please.
Good night, Jamaica. I'm Nzinga too. I'm 20 years of age, and I was the hospital, but I don't let this hold me down. I still keep myself happy. I still try to be active. I spend most of my time reading. So reading helped me to be a more smart girl. It helped me to know things better. It helped me to know about my past history and about my culture, where I'm from, and all of that. So I spend most of my time reading.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I just pray for a speedy recovery and then get up to the hospital, get back in school, so I can finish my studies and become a nurse.
Well, at least being at the hospital, you see what the hospital is like. So when you become a nurse, you realize how much you'll be needed. Mhm. All right. Thanks a lot. Well, we're gonna keep in touch with you, Queen Nzinga, from time to time because um, the nation, our spirits are with you, our strength, and so on and so forth. So you have given us strength, and we hope to give you strength in return.
Okay.
Nice. So we give.
Really,
Sorry,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
Really appreciate it.
Nice, nice. Give thanks, blessings, and honor. So there you have it, listeners. So thanks a lot, Nzinga. You get a little sleep now, and probably might do more reading, and we'll be keeping in touch that the nation can hear your voice. Blessings and honor.
Have a blessed night, my princess.
Okay. Good
Okay.
night.
Love you.
Mhm.
Have a lovely day.
Blessed.
Yes.
Yes.
That's nice to hear her, eh? And
Yes.
sound good and strong and so forth.
So, and
Yes.
I would like to add now that, like, in terms of health in other nations,
Mhm.
because and seeing guys going to a trial, and she's in a systematic, I call it, hospital, you know?
Yes, but I deliberately didn't bring up anything about trial and case and them things, you know.
Yes.
Her
So,
health is comes first. We want her to get her strength. Trial and those things can wait. They can come after. And we have no doubt that the trauma that she went through and is going through, and that whole scenario, must have been a tremendous weight upon this
impact,
little girl.
yes.
Yes.
And
So I deliberately didn't want to mention about that. No, that can come
mhm.
after.
But it's a point to touch that we as a Rastafari people, we should have a space where all people can be treated and get a better statement of health.
Oh
And
yes, you
this
mean
is,
generally within our community?
yes, of
Yes. Oh
course,
yes. Yes.
yes. And I know we have a lot healers and doctors,
Mhm.
herbalists. And when all people are in this situation, I call it situations, so we all gather and help because as we always preaching, we should practice, and it's the only thing that we have as African. Our philosophy is unity, and unity being strength, and those are the evidence of cooperation and understanding.
And there's a part of our creed
Of course,
which says that let the hungry be fed, the
we
naked
can
be
include
clothed, the sick
sin,
nourished, and the
the age
aged protected,
protected, and the infant here.
cared for. Right. So that covers a pretty wide gambit, and
Mm,
consequently now wheel that into what you have just said now, that we need to
mm,
take care of many of our elders
yes,
who pass uh, um, because of neglect. Neglect. Sometimes some simple things, some simple medication, if you had gotten the treatment early, it could make a big difference.
yes, it's very important.
Hmm.
That's part of my path life as a healer,
Hmm.
herbalist too, and that's what the movement, you know, to
Hmm.
look for betterment of over people.
Hmm.
And as you said, taking care especially of elders because they take care of us when we was little.
Yes,
So
yes. We have a
and
duty now.
and they paved the way for us today to stand as a free people. I can
Hmm.
be more free right now, but the cause of my ancestors and all my elders.
Beautiful, beautiful. You mentioned to me at some point that they were building a monument, or
Oh,
there's a project to build a monument in Panama.
yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, it was this time black in the not the minister but of the black development for Afro descendants. We have a, not like a minister or go to minister now, I
Hmm.
think so. and the government of the development of Afro-descendant people. We have our own space in the government. The little by little is being, growing.
Mhm.
So in a time was one who represented that he was looking for the project to develop a monument. Uh, that I remember he said a tear that remember the blood and the sacrifice of all the people who work and build in the canal of Panama.
Oh, so they plan to build a monument.
I don't know at this point with all these 3 years we're gonna be now and because
And
COVID,
okay,
so
because of
many
COVID.
things are being,
But they want to build a monument to those who died in building the canal, and
to
they want it to
represent it.
represent the blood and the tears.
Yes.
That
And the sweat the being.
yes. I don't think a lot of people in Jamaica realize how many people died, in building that canal.
Yes.
You want to give us an idea about how much people roughly, but
Yes. What's that?
there's a lot,
Thousands of people.
thousands died
Yes.
building that canal, and that would include quite a number of Jamaicans also.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And from all over the Caribbean
Yes.
and Africans. Yes.
I'm looking inside the chat area now of our
Yes.
program, and it seemed like some of the people listening, it looks like Spanish to you if you look at some of this here that looks Spanishish, eh? Sister, you see it here? You're looking at the screen.
Yes.
This
Let
look
me
like
see.
Spanish. Some people are listening.
Let me see.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Barbara.
Nandia, Eddie, that looks
Okay.
Spanish. Eh?
Okay. Here is one of my elders in Panama. They say the Plaza of the Enyas in Amador near to where is the causeway, where is the entrance from the Pacific of the Panama Canal. They're building a monument of Marcos Garvey
Oh, that's what that's what
right now, in the yes, in the Pacific entrance of the Panama
the
Canal.
Pacific entrance. That's what is somewhere over here, this side here, the Pacific
No,
entrance.
this here,
Uh-huh.
yes, this and this area.
The Pacific area.
Yes, from this Pacific
Yes.
area, it will be like this is the canal. Yes, right here.
They're building a monument
Yes.
to
Oh,
Marcus Garvey there now.
yes. Yes.
Okay, all right.
A
Here,
statue. Yes.
they've started to build a
Yes.
statue of Marcus Garvey there.
Yes.
Oh, here that people, we're just getting that information here. So they'll be building a statue at the entrance to the canal on the Pacific side.
Yes.
Wow, wow.
And actually, in 2018, when I was in the Panama Rastafari Board as a president and work in this position, I work with part of the members of the government
Yes.
and the side of Bocas del Toro, where he went uh, and named a street Marcos Garvey. That was part of the work. So it's a street in Bocas del Toro named Marcos Garvey. Actually, we bring Julius Garvey to
Mhm.
Panama
Yes.
and that time too, so to stay with us and be part of
The festival, the celebration.
yes,
All right, all right. So now they're building a statue at the entrance to the canal
of Marcos
to the Honorable
Garvey.
Marcus Garvey. Very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. As we move along, brothers and sisters, we thank Sister Berhani for coming along,
Yes,
talking to us. You're looking at some of the
yes,
yes,
city of Panama is really
yes.
nice and informative tonight.
All
The
right,
Empress bring a refreshing taste to the program.
right,
It
right. Well,
was listening on the website
yes.
and had to
To
on
tune
tune
in
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube. All right.
Yes.
So it's Brother High Tower, listening from New York there. Give thanks, my brother. And like I said, I see some other messages, but they look like some of them look Spanishish, some of them look even Greek.
So you see, it's the diversity and the experience is what it brings. The multiplicity is the experience.
Yes,
So
very, very
and
good.
that's why we should do everyone experience or mystical spirituality and journey by traveling. I know more about our stories.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Right. Those who want to call and ask any questions of my sister here with regards to Panama and so on, because it certainly sounds like a melting pot of ideas and cultures and and so on, symmetry of all of that. And probably that is why people like Bedwood, Marcus Garvey,
Holy Duncan,
Howell, Bedwood,
Howell,
all of them went to Panama at some point. You can join us, you can call us 876-619-1508, 876-279-8473. So Bobby Marcus, you tell me you couldn't get through last week. Yes, we can take your calls this week and put some emphasis here on our Caribbean people, our Central American brothers and sisters, Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, as you know, Jamaica has had an influential role. Rastafari is uniting our brothers and sisters all over the Caribbean, all over the world. And so, we want to link up and we want to know more.
I hope I can come back and we have an expansion.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Yes. Because a lot of what you have said here tonight, I didn't know. And, the whole idea of having a radio program is to bring knowledge. And the whole idea is to let our people know what other people are doing in other countries, what we are doing here, how does it connect there, and how the worldwide revolution will take place.
You say the worldwide revolution, we're living in an era of cyber, robotic, satellite, solar engineer, artificial engineer, and the question on the table is who is human and the dignity. So it's very, the you just say that in this time that we live in, to really meditate and know and be conscious and aware of in which era, which time we are living, because it's real.
You showed me a picture on your phone of the Queen Mother. Tell our listeners what that picture is, what it represents, and who is that Queen Mother that you showed me, looking so majestically queen.
The Congo Queen of Panama, from the Congo.
From the Congo.
Yes.
And she's wearing a crown, isn't she?
Yes, she's wearing a crown. Alejandrina Lam is her name.
The Congo Queen in Panama.
Yes.
But she looks very regal, very majestic, and so on.
Yes, she is. I know.
Yes.
I'm by
so that was at a ceremony that they had there, or so they're honoring her.
Oh yes, we honoring her in that time. In 2005, we have the first Hispano America Summit, Rastafari Summit, breaking language barrier. Because it's a lot of information is missed because the language, especially the Hispano language. So this was in 2005, and you can see this Bongo Tani, over elder from the Nyabingi ancient order, and Bongo Chefa. So
they're on either side of her.
Yes.
These elders, Brother Shefa and Bongo Tani, had gone to Panama 2005.
Yes.
And they were participating in the Congo Festival.
No, it was in the Rastafari Summit, and she was invited to be honored by us.
Oh, she was invited to the Rastafari Summit and was honored by you all. But she looked very majestic, very regal, very dignified, very glorious. Yes, give thanks. All right, so let us understand the law, no? Oh, yes, please say that. Please say that next. Yeah? Please say
Some of all one foot and the law, the commandments which I give. Moses and Mount Zion, and them a follow 2 foot and the law. People miserable, constantly fuss and fight. Them a follow 3 foot and the law. The storm get calm, immorality. Yes, it and them.
You know, a message just coming in here, and it says here, as you have heard, Queen Nzinga mentioned the Holy Pibi. And the message which just came in says the Holy Pibi was available in Panama in 1917, while at that time it was banned in Jamaica.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
They
Eh?
found a copy in that place called in Cologne.
Mhm.
In the place called in Cologne.
They found a copy of the Holy Pibi.
Yes, in 5th Street. I
Okay,
remember.
brothers. So that thank you. Thank you all for sending that to us. Oh, Ras Rick.
Yes, Ricardo Richard.
Okay, Ras Rick.
He always hear your program. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ras Rick. Heal up. So he's getting to us from Panama.
Yes.
Heal up, Ras Rick. Well, you always follow the program, and tonight now we're featuring our honorable sister to teach us more about Panama. So at some point, Ras Rick, we will be communicating with you and talk a little more about Panama. If not tonight, certainly on another occasion. But thank you for making that knowledge known to us that the Pibi, Holy Pibi, at one point was banned in Jamaica, and yet it was available in Panama in 1917. Give thanks. Nice.
Moses and the law, the commandments which I give. Moses and Mount Zion, them a follow 2 foot and the law. People miserable, constantly fuss and fight. Them a follow 3 foot and the law. We have been follow all of the law, 2 foot and the law. With the blessings come down from higher. All of the law, 2 foot and the law. With the blessings come down from higher. All of the law, 2 foot and the law. With the blessings come down from higher. All of the law, 2 foot and the law. With the blessings come down from higher. All of the law, 2 foot and the law. With the blessings come down.
Seal up this part with that. We're not going to leave, we're going to talk about other things. We could mention that, yeah?
So how you came here?
My son carried me.
He come with you?
Yes, one of them will come on.
So that's why they call it the Pan-Americana, because they get directed to Panama, to America.
Some of all one foot and the law, the commandments which I just Moses and Mount Zion, them a follow 2 foot and the law.
But tell me, Sister Bernard, there is a conference planned for next year.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Next year, my elders
That's 2022.
Yes, 22 in May, because in May is the Black Moon in Panama.
Is the what?
Black Moon, the Black Ethnic Month.
Okay, May is the Black, you celebrate Black Month in Panama.
Yes.
So next year, May, what you'll be having in Panama?
The kingdoms of Africa is going to meet in Panama.
The different kingdoms.
Yes, of Africa, including Ethiopia, because it's the royal house, you know. No kingdom will be gathering without Ethiopia in Panama.
Oh, so you're going to have a big convocation.
Yes, so for those who are listening, can prepare yourself to go and experience next year in Panama in May. It will be exactly by the 25th. That is the Black African Liberation Day.
Yes.
Yes. We always make sure that day in Panama, because Panama have many groups of Black ethnic, you know, the Afro-Antillean, the Afro-Caribbean, the Pan-Africans. So everybody celebrating the month. So we as a Rastafari people, we have that day especially, you know.
May.
25th.
Especially 25th of May.
Yes.
Big thing in Panama. Thanks a lot. Now could you hear a little more of those who don't want to feel the whole aspect of the law and so on. Okay.
Victim of atrocity, gangster mentality, police brutality, crime to capacity, youth in captivity, unfair policy to please the minority, from top society you see popularity.
I'm planning to go by that time.
Some of all one who's to the law, the commandments which are judging.
Yes. Okay.
Who to the law, people miserable, constantly fuss and fight them up on a tree. Who to the law, the storm get calm, immorality. Yes, it to them high, we have to follow. All of the law, who to the law, with the business come down from. Them up on field, Joshua Rod, take it Babylon and try to tear us apart. Naked food, they forget what they're taught. Because of the loyal Satan from start. Big file them action, them big file them shot.
Okay.
Big file them hands and them big file them heart. Big file the innocent, you must get caught. Iniquity works, Simon can't be a part. Last shall be first and the first shall be last. Oh, you fit this, the man will make the east, west, the south and the north. Them a follow one. You bring the north, they come on.
Yeah. No man, I bring them.
People miserable, constantly fuss and fight them up on a tree. Fault of the law, the storm get calm, immorality. Yes, it of them I we have been follow. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya. All of the law, fault of the law, with the blessings come down from aya.
Number 9. Next. Somebody in the line?
Some of all one foot on the law, the commandments which are judging. Moses from Mount Zion, them a follow.
Nice. That's Dub Core. Dub Core telling you to follow part of the law. You have to follow the fullness of the law. Greetings and blessings. One love.
Greetings and blessings to you, brother Miguel Lorne.
Give thanks.
Greetings and blessings to your guest.
Yes, give thanks. He's telling you. Berhane, yes, he's telling you blessings.
Blessings, Sister Brani.
Give thanks. Greetings, my brother.
I want to ask you, do you know people in the they were still considered as a kingdom recognized by Britain in the late 18th century, the Mosquito people?
The Mosquito people.
Yeah. That mostly, you know, where they have that in Nicaragua, the mosquito. Yes, and they actually, I think they call into the Garifuna, the mosquito people. They in Nicaragua. Yes.
You have heard of the Garifuna people?
Garifuna.
Yes, Garifuna. Yes. Garifuna, Gari. Garifuna. Yes. It's a mixture. You have some in St. Kitts, you have some in Belize, some in Nicaragua, some in St. Vincent. They were a mixture of Africans and Tainos.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
I was about the Mosquito people, and even the young man at that time, in the time of the late 18th century, he had a crown made of pure silver, and that kingdom was recognized by Britain then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was also said that they have a Negroid-like look, as if they are African, and they were saying that there was an intermixing between the maroon slave or the escaped so-called slaves of the ship, intermingling with the people of the ethnic people of that community. But I want to ask the sister, does the Panamanian and the Guatemalan has any similar ethnicity in terms of their looks? Have you ever been to Nicaragua?
No, I really never met a Mestizo people from Nicaragua, but yes, I met different tribe. I share with different tribe of the what we call in the natives one in Panama.
Yes, yes. I'm referring to the native because I'm
Yes.
a truth. There's a book. Also, Ivan Van Sertima wrote a book also. You know Ivan Van Sertima from Bombay, died now. He was a professor of anthropology and history from, what was that?
It's referring to the book They Came Before Columbus.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That very book.
Yes.
It actually shows that people like me to the descendants of African were here when before Christopher Columbus came here and saw people.
Of course.
The whole place over here was colonized. So was the Aztec, the Maya, and the Incas.
Yes.
The Aztec, the Maya, and the Incas. The Aztec from Mexico, the Maya in that region of the Latin American region.
Peru. Peru and adjoining areas.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is said and recorded, and there's ancient biblical historical proof that let me see now. Let me ask you something.
No, I think probably you want to get, because there are proof that persons from, like, for example, from the Mali Kingdom were sailing over to places like Panama, Costa Rica. Before Columbus.
Yes,
Before
of
Columbus.
course.
Yes.
Mansa Musa brother
Oh,
came over here. Over this side, long time.
yeah, Mansa
Mansa
Musa.
Musa. Yeah, Mansa Musa brother came over here long time.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, nothing canoe as they say, double canoe, but well built ship.
Yes,
Yes.
But we were never told that history.
true.
And
And that there were kings and queens sailing from Angola to Brazil.
very, very interested, she said that in Panama, there's representative of even the Congo region, the Central African region,
Yes.
here in
Yes.
Panama.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right. It is said because there are biblical anthropology
Mm-hmm.
that shows us that when the children of Israel, particularly 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, which is capital Samaria,
Mm-hmm.
was taken away by the
Taken into
Assyrians,
Panama.
70 AD, about 71 AD. They were taken from their kingdom and deported. Very similar to what happened to the Maroon that was here when they rebelled. Some of them were sent to Canada and etc. And when they were killed all over. Yes, and people were deported. Some of them were deported to part of Canada and eventually deported to part of West Africa. But very similar thing has been happening to us. Let me put it clearly.
I could get that number.
When we
The
were
number. Bingy Glenn.
looked at in
I could get his number and call him for me.
before the Noah flood called the Garden of Eden, which is now called the land of Israel, which is not, that is a portion that is occupied by the Ashkenaz, the Sephardic, so-called Jews, and the Khazar people. Not saying that they are Judah, but scripture from the prophet show that the Jews and the kingdom of Judah are really
That little part slipped me. You said the people that were occupying, was it which country? Egypt?
No, that part of Africa.
Oh, that part of Africa.
Really, the Panama Canal, 100, no, not the Panama Canal.
You think of the Suez Canal now, yes?
The Suez Canal, 100 years ago.
Yes.
And before the flood, that is before not the Noah flood that is recorded in history.
Yes.
That place was called the Garden of Eden, and it was bordered by four rivers. The Python Guyana, Hydrocele, and Euphrates. And the Python is the river that is now called the Nile, that goes through Egypt all the way into the Mediterranean Sea. Guyana is that river, Ethiopia, that they now called the Blue Nile. Hydrocele is the river Tigris, that is located somewhere near in Syria today. And the holy river that maintains its name is the Euphrates, in that area of Iraq. So all of that area was called Israel, the land of Israel. It was bordered by rivers. Now, when these people were deported, it is said the 10 tribes, after the conquest of the...
Hold on. When I say these people, which people are you talking now?
The people that is located, some of them that is located in Panama and Costa Rica.
Oh, so hold on. So they were deported from across this part of the world and taken to Panama.
Yes, that's a record.
They came over this side by free will.
By free will, I see. Mm-hmm.
Free will after they were let loose after the ancient Assyrian kingdom was conquered by the Medes and the Persians. Darius and Cyrus. They were conquered by them, then they let the people of Israel go, the 10 tribes, let them go, and they went off the coast of Africa, decided to build ships and came over this side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, they were here before Columbus, over 12 years before Columbus.
Yes.
And the Panamanian is a particular tribe called the tribe of Zebulun.
They used to make
They
newspapers
describe
about
them as being dwell by a haven of dwell by the haven of the sea, and also they will be of an haven of ship. Their dwelling place will be where they are haven of ship. And if you notice Panama, you have the Panama Canal that you're talking about. It was built, no ship go through that area at any given time throughout the age. Any given time throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was built for them to bypass
Going around the long route of going around.
take a month to go all around.
That was cut between to match the Atlantic with the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
The Atlantic with the Pacific, so it have a shorter route to come to North America.
Yes.
But
It shortened the journey by 1 month.
Mhm.
I want to establish, just like similar to what they did to displace that land of Israel from Africa, but it's one land mass. Africa was really what is before the flood was called Eden. Eden, E-D-E-N. But the garden was planted east. That is known as the land of Israel presently today. But it's not the whole land, it's just a little piece they are fighting and killing one another apart. The so-called Palestinian, which is and the so-called Jewish. And Palestinian is a transliteration, is a Greek transliteration of the word Philistine. Did you know that, brother Lorne?
Yes, I have some.
Transliteration of the word Philistine. And we read Israel and...
Wait, no, man. We don't rush. We're not rush the thing. You're saying that Palestinian is a transfiguration of the word, transliteration. Wait, no, man. Wait, no, brethren. Wait, no, man. If we know overs it, we about learn. Is a transfiguration of the word, the Philistines. So you're saying that the Palestinians are Philistines? They are descendants of the Philistines.
Yes. And they are mixed with the Edomite. Genesis 25.
Wait again. No, so the Palestinians are mixed with the who? The Edomite.
The Edomite.
The Edomite.
The Edomite are that so-called race that we know etc., and military power. They call themselves white.
They call themselves what? They call themselves what?
White.
White.
Yes.
All on a white people, and which they are not, you say?
Which they are not.
All right.
I've never seen a white skin person. You have not never seen a white skin person. But they teach the world that they are that because they have something to hide. They are fugitive and vagabond on the earth. And one day they will be traced off the earth.
The white people. No, brother. That is the white people.
Yes, literally, we're going to trace them off the
You're
earth.
going to all right. That part. Wait, no, Virgin, but that part it sound good. But we soon have to wrap up now. You have gone into quite a bit of extensive history here and so on. And we give thanks for that. You know, part, yes. So, make we conclude now. How do we conclude here this course now? This that you're giving. How do we conclude it now?
The Panamanians and the Costa Rican are really of the bloodline of Israel.
Right. All right. Hold on now. Right. He's saying yes, the Panamanians and the Costa Ricans are of the bloodline of Israel. You want to say something about that?
I want to, from the beginning that he was asking about the mosquito and about the Mayans and all this. You miss the old Mecca. There was the old Mecca, remember? Do you know about the old Mecca?
The old Mecca.
Yes, it's the old Mecca. You know, it was that people.
It is the same people they call the Olmecs.
Yes, the old Mecca. The old
Olmecs
Mecca.
in Mexico.
Yes.
And if you notice, they have God knows the heads of the Olmecs, that are there now. If you notice, with the African teacher, and they're with a helmet. Those are helmets. So they were fighting man, the mighty man. If they are written in scripture as the mighty man, they were the fighting men of Israel. They were the fighters, the soldiers.
And you have quite a number of Olmecs statues, especially in Mexico,
Yes.
where you have some of the pyramids. That
Exactly, pyramids at Egypt, and yes.
Similar pyramids over there to pyramids that are found over here.
Yes.
But
And the reason why, remember, there's a record that we were in Egypt, the children of Israel, our tribe was in Egypt for 430 years. And they were interbreeding with the Egyptians because we were black people, so to speak. The only difference is that we are really here. But we had the skin complexion. Henceforth, that's why it was said when Herod, which was an Edomite, installed on the kingdom of Judah by Caesar, Julius Caesar of Rome. He was installed on the kingdom as the king of Judah, the king of the Jews. He wanted to kill the Messiah, the black Messiah called the Christ, the Hawashai, who was born to Mary and Joseph. And they went down, took a donkey. There was no river there was no canal cut. And they took a donkey and traveled all the way into Egypt to blend in with the rest of the black people. So they can't say that the Messiah, who they call Jesus, who the world people call Jesus, who is really the Hawashai, the Hebrew, the Hawashai, was of any other color. He was a black man, and Negro just like me and you, Mr. Lorne, black man just like me and you, with the same kind of woolly hairstyle, all of that. We are the world best of secret.
All right. So my brother, all right. So I give thanks for that. So we're gonna seal it up right there, or if you don't mind, as we have to. All right. You stay strong now. Very good. One love.
Yes,
Very
yes,
good.
yes.
Very good.
Wow, we brought.
Yes. All right. Like I said, we want to get in touch with Bingy Glenn now. We're trying to get in touch with him and so on. And as we move forward to talk about Ethiopia and the situation which is happening there, some of you may have seen on the television that the Tigrayans are now retreating. They have been forced to withdraw from other regions that adjoin Tigray, and they will specifically look at the map of Ethiopia here. Whilst we try to get there, we're going to look at the map of Ethiopia. There's a map of Ethiopia at the front of this book here. Looking at the book entitled The Ethiopians, written by Professor Ullendorf, printed and published by us. I'm trying to find a map here. Ethiopian manuscript. I know I have a map inside this book here. Specific map, detailed map of Ethiopia that we can look at in terms of locating the regions beside Tigray, and which the Tigrayans had gone over into these regions, the Amhara and the Asmara region. They had gone over into there, carrying out all sorts of atrocities, and they are now being chased out. At the back of this book, you see the picture of the Lalibela churches. These are churches carved out of rocks, out of stones, completely carved. Yes, Lalibela. And Lalibela changed hands a couple of times within the past week. At one moment, the Tigrayans had gone over and captured there. It's a holy city, very holy city. And the Tigrayans went over, captured there. Well, the central government went and took it back from them and chased them out of Lalibela.
Like you say, it's a holy city, it's a city inside.
Yes.
It's not just the Lalibela, but have different churches from what I know,
Yes.
Make it out of the road. I would like to go soon and experience with my own eyes.
To see those churches carved out of rocks.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Still don't find the. I think we have to go back to the atlas here now. I'll have to get the bigger atlas and see. So as we talk about, all right, we can see Ethiopia here now, Sister Brian, on the bigger scale here. If you look at this bigger map here now, so this one here now.
This is the map?
Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Boy.
You said the beginning, but it wasn't the end.
Yes, it's really towards the end. Where it shows now. If you want to describe it for us now, we're here. So if you come a little closer, just your mic. Yes. So you see where this mark Tigray.
Yes, Tigray.
Tigray is right up there.
Sudan is right here.
Yes.
And this is Tigray right here.
Yes.
Border.
Yes. And if you look at the map now, this bigger map here now, you have, you see Tigray is to the north, brothers and sisters. And beside Tigray now, well, you have Sudan. Well, this part of Sudan now is now known as South Sudan, because the bigger Sudan now is up that way. And South Sudan is now a country by itself. You look at it there. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you have Tigray is right up there to the north. Now, the Amhara region and the Afar region, those regions are to the east of where Tigray is. That will be over here, like you're going towards. You have Eritrea up here. You see Eritrea up here. Go to that region.
And the Red Sea.
And right, Eritrea borders with the Red Sea. And then you come down a little south now. And then you're coming into the other territory there. You see there? Mhm.
This is nature coming here.
Right, right,
And
right.
this is the Tigray here that is near
Mhm.
to the regions.
Yes, the Tigray
Mhm.
is right beside Eritrea.
Yeah.
And right. So the point we're making, brothers and sisters, is that um, with the Tigrayans now being chased out of the border regions, these regions that bordered with Tigray, that is the Amara and the Afar region, and
Yeah, formation.
yes, the Afar region there,
Right here.
right? Afar region there. Um, just describe where you see it there now. The Afar region there borders with,
The Gulf of
this is Eritrea here, isn't it?
Eritrea, by the Red Sea,
Eritrea.
Eritrea.
And the Afar region is to the tip of Eritrea there. That would be right here on this map, the Afar
Right
region.
here.
Yes. Uh-huh. You know, that's a very, very fertile area. There's a river there too known as the Afar River, you know. You know, the fighting in this area, brothers and sisters, really, really saddens me. And I'm almost certain that a lot of things have been destroyed. The oldest fossil in the world, oldest fossil, you know, the bones of a human being, was found in the Afar Valley, you know, and even Dinkinish, the oldest woman up to a certain time, but they have since found other fossils that are older than Dinkinish. Dinkinish was found near the border of Ethiopia and Kenya. You see this lake here, Lake Turkana, this lake right here. Yes, this lake right here, with borders with Kenya and Ethiopia, Lake Turkana. Uh-huh. I think this would be it here.
You can see the lake.
Yes, yes. That's the lake there. You see it clear on this way, you see the water showing blue. Right. That is where Dinkinish was found. That's
That
Dinkinish,
is near to, yes, in Kenya,
the border of Kenya
Uganda.
and Ethiopia. Yes. That's where Dinkinish was found. The bones of Dinkinish was found there. And that those bones were dated over 3 million years old, brothers and sisters. Over 3 million years old. The anthropologists and those people, they dated it over 3.5 million years old. Well, after that now, they found fossils. And if you see, Afar is a good distance from Turkana, the border with Kenya. You see, Afar is near over, if you're looking at your map, near over to the Djibouti side.
Yes.
You see Djibouti over there.
Yes.
And Djibouti is spelled with a D. D-J-I-B-O-U-T-I. Djibouti. D-J-I-B-O-U-T-I. So the Afar Valley is over nearer to Djibouti side. And so they have found fossils there which are now older than Dinkinish. Dinkinish is said to be 3.5 million years old, and the fossils found nearer to Djibouti and Afar is over 4 million years old. So the fighting irks me now, because not only are we not able to do further research, excavation, and so on, but I suspect this fighting and bombing and shooting and killings may have destroyed some of the fossils and items which could be found to show the extent of human habitation in that region. And so, brothers and sisters, because that old Ethiopian region, that old Nile Valley civilization is very important, not just to Ethiopia, but for mankind,
To the whole world.
for humankind, for the whole world. Because we not only find fossils there in the Afar region and in the Turkana Lake region and so on, we not only find fossils, human bones, but we find utensils that they used to use in setting up communities there. We find the skulls of human beings, and these are examined. And when they examine some of these skulls and examine some of these teeth and so on, by looking on the markings on your teeth, no matter if it's thousands of years old, millions of years old, the markings on your teeth give the scientists an idea as to what those persons used to eat. And what they have discovered, both at Lake Turkana, both in the Afar Valley and so on, is that the markings clearly showed that those people did not used to eat meat. They were vegetarians. And this contributes a lot, brothers and sisters, because you had lions sometimes the same way, leopards, elephants, you had those big cats, same way. But it also reveals to us if we never used to hunt them and eat them, chances are they never used to hunt we and eat we either. Mm-hmm. And that is the real garden of heaven, not Eden, garden of heaven. Because the animals do hunt, look we don't for kill we. We now look for them for kill them. Heights of civilization. Right. So, Brother Lloyd, ever getting through to Ethiopia?
No.
It rings or anything like that?
No, I get voicemail now. It's a different thing. I even talked to last week on WhatsApp.
Yes.
I think you tell us you can't call him straight. I think you know what I think, sir? That's why you contact him on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Website contact him on WhatsApp. What did we contact him on?
That's when I asked you. I think that person we talked via WhatsApp.
Yes. So what you were trying to get him by WhatsApp, no?
No, straight.
No, we'll try by WhatsApp, no?
What have you used about the same means?
Yes. Yes, this phone. Try to this phone.
Alright.
I think he had said that his WhatsApp what we used to get him.
I think so from last week.
Yeah. All right. So the visitors no want to talk. We are trying to speak to Binga Glenn, born in Jamaica, spent quite a bit of time in United States, did tremendous work there in expanding the Nyabingi Rastafari movement in New York and throughout the United States. He's now gone over to Ethiopia, and because of the situation in Ethiopia, he has decided to stay there to see what assistance he can give, and he's now virtually acting as a pioneer on behalf of the Rastafari community, both in Ethiopia and over here. So we had a nice chat with him last week, but it wasn't long enough. Plus, situations have changed drastically between last week and this week.
Every second, every minute, everything.
Yes, things have been changing over there in Ethiopia as the war continues. Nice.
But that is just one part of the spectrum, because it's not just that is happening. It's simultaneously development is happens too.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
They trying at the same time to keep the world apart from Africa, especially from Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
As His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First said, every time Ethiopia is ready to connect with the rest of the world and open the doors,
Yes.
they always try and come and make
Yes.
things like they're
Yes.
making right now.
All the
To
time.
distract, yes.
All the
But
time.
this will be the last chance that they have to try because everybody's off already.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
evil never prevail with Ethiopia.
Yes. You want to pass those books over there for me? Let me just.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So, persons, I hope you all have been reading. I brought along, well, you know, Sister Berhani, right?
Yes.
The, I usually like when I mention books that I have for sale, but with the pandemic thing, you know, we have slowed down in being able to get books. Just letting you know that I now have copies of the book, Taki's Revolt. These were ordered from last year, they just arrived in. Taki's Revolt. So please, I have the paperback version. So you all, I just got 10. So I'm really hoping I can sell off these 10 quickly so as I can go back to market and buy some more.
Of course.
Yes, but I got 10 this week of Taki's Revolt. That's the book written by Brother Brown, and I had ordered some from, like I said, from last year, so that you all can read. When we talk about Taki being made or ought to be made a national hero, I really want you all to read about his fighting, his exploits, and the importance of that war over there in St. Mary when Taki attacked that British fort. And what I like about Vincent Brown, who wrote the book, he places that war within the international context. And it's very important that you all read and understand it. The British might give the impression, say, that's a little fort where Taki attack and ray. But Fort Haldane at the time and St. Mary out there at the time was an area where the British ships would rendezvous. They would regroup there. Whether they were at war down in Panama, over in Colombia, fighting for the gold of riches of Peru and so on, or in Mexico, killing off the Aztec Indians for their treasures, they a lot of times would rendezvous in JA.
Everywhere.
And we can, if you look at the map, you can see the reason why. Because before you sail out, you know, of Mexico or of the Caribbean basin, you would end up coming up now. And Jamaica was a good rendezvous point before you hit across the Atlantic going up to Europe. You see the trajectory here on the map.
Before, yes.
Right. So they would, and therefore now, out at Fort Haldane, out in St. Mary, when Taki attacked that fort, he and his band of warriors, and it was such a serious and important blow to the British Empire. They tried to downplay it. But I tell you, Vincent Brown has put it in context. Very, very good. Very good. So, like I said, I just got 10 of those books. So, if you seriously want to read about Taki's Revolt, that's the book to read. I'm really hoping that I can sell off these 10 quickly and then I can go back to market and buy some more, because I would love a few schools in Jamaica. have a copy of that Taki's Revolt. When you read that, brothers and sisters, you know, you see there's a lot of writings now these days about who should be made national hero. Ever since Barbados do what them do. So people are saying Bob Marley, Miss Lou, and so on and so forth. And it's so nice, it's so exciting, yes, and so on. But I don't think your hero should be based on popularity, you know. No, not on popularity. It is the duty of a country like Jamaica to teach Taki and to teach of the great, because it is those attacks, it is that war that went a long way towards giving us certain freedoms today.
That's what I say.
Because attacking Fort Haldane, he was going to the juggernaut of the British Empire. You know what I mean? Serious business, brothers and sisters. So that ain't popular in terms of even some Jamaican artists were popular. You know, Taki ain't so as popular as them, but we don't deal with this thing based on popularity. We're talking about the effect of our rights and our freedom and certain things that we now enjoy is as a result of the blood, sweat, and tears shed by Taki and his army when they attacked a place that the British thought were impregnable.
And from what I know, the same with Bayano and all those heroes in Panama too, they were not having a big group of people, and they defeat many empires.
Yes.
But with that brave and that spirit of warrior that they was having, and
Yes.
how they set the what you call it? Strategies
Okay.
to fight. It was very important, you know.
Now, I am planning to order quite a number of the African Writers series. When I first opened the bookshop, I had brought in quite a number of these books, the African Writers series. And I tell you, some of these books, when I opened the bookshop way back in 1990, when I opened the bookshop, I brought in a lot of these books. I'm only now getting the time to read some of them.
Wow, that's
I read
like
some, but
40 years ago.
Yes, 30 years ago, right? So I'm just now getting the time to read some of them. Some I'd read before, and some I'm rereading. Like this one, On Trial for My Country, by Stanley Samkanj. This book shows, this is a brilliant book. And the brother who writes it, he uses original documents, showing how Cecil Rhodes, the murderer, how he tricked Lobengwela, the African chief, by showing Lobengwela the Queen of England's signature. And so was able to get the Matabele lands in Zimbabwe. That time, them call it Rhodesia. But a serious book.
And On Trial of My Country.
Yes, On Trial for My Country. Now, this is another one I just finished reading, The Sons of Independence by Amadou Koroma. Koroma is spelled Amadou, Ahmadou, Amadou Koroma, Kouroma, Koroma. Sons of Independence. It shows you how, first of all, colonialism, when it came to Africa, how it destroyed the system of hierarchy of government that we had in Africa. The chiefs, the princes, the medicine man, your marabout, how you worship God. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
All of that. So that now the colonialism destroyed that fabric that we had, and that we had a stable societies, whichever kingdom. That was destroyed. And then when independence came along now, that in some instances further destroyed some of that structure. It also shows you,
legacy, no?
it also, what did you just say?
A stolen legacy.
Stolen legacy, yes, we know that one. That one here, I haven't reread
No, I
that.
said that's what I've been doing.
Oh, they have been stealing our legacy. Oh, yes. So that's the Sons of Independence. It also shows the extent in our African family and our African tradition, the necessity of having children. You have to have children. You know, a man is nothing without if he not have children.
No continuation.
His lineage, everything, you know. And also for the sister, you know, because if you do have no children, it means that your lineage done when you gone.
Exactly.
And that is unheard of. And in some communities in Africa, if that was to happen to a man, then when he passes, his brother inherits his wife. And that brother now, and the children that that brother have with that wife is not considered the brother's children. It is considered the deceased brother children.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to have, because the deceased brother, he is going to haunt the community until he have children. The only thing can appease him is if things. So his brother inherits his wife, and any child the brother, yes, is considered the deceased man's children.
Wow.
You see. So I see a little of that in some of these books, but you have to have children. You have to have children. And then there are other books that I read. The one that I'm reading now is The Joys of Motherhood. The joys of motherhood, the importance of motherhood, the importance of having children. The African society orients around children.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
It orients around that, man and woman. It orients around children. Now, I want us to look now as we have about 15 minutes to go. I want us now, Sister Berhani, to look at this map of Africa
Again.
closely now. I think I told you all that one of the programs coming up into the new year will be a program on Tanzania. I'm putting it all together. I'm getting in touch with some persons. And Kruma, yeah, one of our main persons as a man who was visited, and then some of the brothers there. And I really want to do that program good with Tanzania. Reason being that quite a number of brothers and sisters migrated, Rastafarians, migrated from Jamaica to Tanzania. The call was made by Julius Nyerere, the former president of Tanzania, when he made the call that Black Jamaicans would be welcome in Tanzania. It's not something that is often spoken about,
Yes.
not something highlighted. You know, most people want to go Ethiopia and Ghana and so on. But Tanzania was assured
Africa is extinct.
that welcomed us. Yes. So I'm putting that together. Another program which I'm putting together, which I'll be speaking now. I haven't finished the book yet, and this is why I don't call him yet. I have to speak to my brother, Ras Wayne Rose. Now, I've spoken to Wayne Rose about what is going to be taking place in July in St. Lucia. They are planning a big event there in July in St. Lucia. But Brother Wayne Rose, he wrote his PhD thesis on W.E.B. Du Bois. You know, W.E.B., some people said Du Bois, some people said Du Bois. Du Bois was a serious critic of Marcus Garvey. So it took a brave Jamaican to write a thesis on Du Bois, the man lambasted Garvey. However, Du Bois was charged, he was tried in America. He was charged for being an exponent of communism in America. He was charged for conspiring, that he was charged for being an agent of Russia, to put it simple, and therefore spreading communism on behalf of Russia in America. It was a very interesting case, very, very interesting case, that W.E.B. Du Bois. So, you know, the trial took place and he was found not guilty. In fact, he was not even called upon to answer because America was doing everything. Because America couldn't show that, one, he was acting for Russia, he was an agent of anybody, and so on. But I tell you, that trial did Du Bois well in terms of endearing him to the black community, because they really went out to persecute him. But he attacked Marcus Garvey a lot. So a lot of Jamaicans don't want to have nothing to do with him. So I'm reading his autobiography now. So when I'm finished with that now, then I can have that discourse with Ross Wayne Rose as we discuss W.E.B. Du Bois. And that era, it was an era, brothers and sisters, at the beginning of the 1900s, come right up. It was an era where we had quite a number of Pan-African conferences, especially that one, 1900, I think, was the first one, and then that monumental one in 1945 in Manchester, England, and so on. So if we're going to study Pan-African history, we have to study those Pan-African conferences, some of which was called by Du Bois. And he called those conferences to counter the effect that Marcus Garvey had before 1945. Remember, the Honorable Marcus Garvey wasn't around 1945. And, but he called those conferences because the UNIA was having tremendous effect on Black people, not just in America, but especially in the Western world, in places like France, Spain, England, and so on, having tremendous effect. So, but we want to read about some of those conferences because Amy Jakes Garvey even attended the 1945 conference. Lots of people, Peter Abrams, the great South African writer, Jomo Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, Nnamdi Azikiwe, the great Nigerian political activist. All of them attended that 1945 conference. So even though we don't like Du Bois, we have to look at some of the activities that took place and see how our Black people carried along. Quite a number of books, brothers. There's one named Locotown, Cyprian Ekwenze, Nigeria again, nice book. Joys of Motherhood by Bucci. I know some people order some of these books on Amazon, so they always tell me to call out the name. The Joys of Motherhood, African Writer Series by Bucci Emechita. Bucci spelled B-U-C-H-I, Emechita, E-M-E-C-H-E-T-A. Bucci Emechita. There is But I want us to look at our map of Africa. This one is important. This is Black Africa. And the first caller tonight asked why we can't unite. And if we unite, he mentions all the advantages if we unite, and so on. Now, I've always said people don't just unite because we're black, you know. Just like the white world. The white world don't unite because I'm white, you know.
We have a common.
Yes, you unite when you have common causes, brothers and sisters. You unite when you have common goals. You don't just get up and unite and say we're black. No. It's nice. But when because we are black now, we will be pursuing or should be pursuing common goals, common objectives, and so on. So that's where the unity comes in. And Sheikh Anta Diop mentions it quite well. And he says so, and now is an opportune time to talk about so forth, because he's saying he is postulating the economic and cultural basis for a federated state of Africa, especially Black Africa. You have to separate Black Africa from Arab Africa, which is North Africa, Algeria, the northern part of Africa there. This is the northern part now. You have Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt. Them trying to Arabize Africa, them countries there. And I don't know if some of you saw it, but on Sunday, there was a very good documentary on Ethiopia shown by the Chinese television station. Yes, the Chinese showed a documentary on Haile Selassie. And I suspect that is to show their solidarity with the war that's going along. So now, back to this thing, you can see it's so clear on this map. But Diop is saying that as we advance economically and culturally, that will form the basis for our unity in a United States of Africa. That is what makes sense.
That's the wish.
Yes.
Wishes for
Yes.
our culture.
And he sets out now the things that will bring about that economic development, you know. And one of the areas that he emphasizes is, first of all, hydraulic energy. Hydraulic energy. In the modern era, the industrialization of Africa, we are going to need a lot of energy from different sources. Different sources. And he is advancing, this is from way back in the 1960s, you know. Diop is advancing that if we, Sheikh Anta Diop, his name is spelled C-H-E-I-K-H, Sheikh Anta, A-N-T-A, Diop, D-I-O-P, Sheikh Anta Diop. And he's postulating that if we solve our energy problem using African resources, energy from our African resources, then that will help our economic development. And our economic development now would go a long way in our cultural strength. And put that together now, we'll have the basis of a political federated state and unity. Good. Now, the hydraulic energy, now we're talking about water, waterfalls, which gives a lot of energy. And he says here that the world reserves of hydraulic energy are estimated at 50 billion kilowatt hours per year. of which almost 90% are concentrated in underdeveloped regions. Europe has only 3% proprietary
So
energy.
they don't have that.
United States have 4%. Russia have 3.5%. So he says at the present rate of development, France will have exhausted its hydraulic potential in less than a decade. Harnessing a few remaining waterfalls in France or the US would be prohibitively costly in view of their location. So in terms of harnessing energy from your waterfalls, them country there are run low.
They know it already
Right.
from that time.
No, the African rivers, the Nile, if we look at some, if we look here at some of the maps, we have the Niger River, the Congo River going across here. We have the Limpopo coming down south, and those other rivers. And he's saying that these rivers are untouched in terms of energy. And if we start damming, this is why the more mash up Ethiopia, because that Nile dam now is going to set the template for the other big rivers in Africa.
And that I read the agenda, Africa have agenda to 2030 and after to 2060. And that's what they're talking about. The
Yeah.
new revolution of the water in the solar engineer, and the whole world will be revitalized with an Africa, a green Africa. Africa, not just Ethiopia, but the whole Africa, planning to use all the resources
No,
of, especially the
I
nation.
can't let this program finish and don't mention an important part here. And this is why some of you might wonder why I am so hostile to anything them guys coming with to put into your system, brothers and sisters. You know,
That's what it is.
hostile. It's just embarrassing that we in Jamaica don't realize that we can make vaccine. We can make our own vaccine. And if we're going to take vaccine, then make our own, man.
Yeah.
Make our own so we know when I hear why now. Listen to this. And from the same book by Dia Black Africa. Page up. What page is now? Page 3. Introduction. And this is what Diab says. When one read up such lines as this. Plans formulated in the United States in 1970 to control birth rates are extremely far-reaching and suggest, for example, it's a 1917, you remember I said, and suggest, for example, the idea of putting, you read it because they must semi-bias, they must semi-bias. You start from plans again,
Plans
Use the mic because they must say Miguel bias.
plans formulated in the United States in 1970 to control birth rates are extremely far-reaching and suggest, for example, the idea of putting sterilizing agents into the water supplies of city or household salt if need to be over the objection of local governments.
Right. Brothers and sisters, what is saying? I just want to get back to that. Plans formulated in the United States in 1970 to control birth rates, but in Africa, are extremely far-reaching. And they suggest, for example, the idea of putting sterilizing agents into the water supply of cities or household salt. You know me, I say, so this is from 1970, them America have them plans for put things for control, the birth control, to control the birth of Africans.
That's
So
very,
now,
very
you
nice.
think them would have missed this opportunity now with this worldwide vaccine? You think them would have missed that up? Because them have these plans from
They've
1970,
been working in that plan.
how they can control the black population. And the idea of putting sterilizing agents into our water, I have no doubt they have been doing that. Into the water supply of cities, or put it in salt. God, too much of we use too much salt, so they more put it in salt. And hear what them say now, if need be, we're going to do this over the objection of local governments. So even when you have some government might look brighter than some, and say, no, I mean, this is a virgin. Them say, oh, well, you don't even know where clock a strike. Because when you can now admit in court documents that came out in England 2 weeks ago, because the Julian Assange decision came out on the 10th of December, the same day we were demonstrating up in front of the US Embassy, the same 10th of December, the International Human Rights Day. Documents came out in England where they admitted that the CIA was planning to kill Julian Assange whilst he was in the Ecuadorian embassy. So when you know those things, now when you read now that they have planned to put sterilizing agents in our water from 1970, and if needs be, putting our salt and all them things there. And y'all, I wonder where I get this from now. Diep was quoting from a French document, La Voix de l'Afrique Noire, the official organ of the Estudiants Rassemblement of the Democratic of Africa. I'll read more about that document, but the other people come now and the program time run up, so we'll be careful. And like we said now, we're going to go into this whole waterway, why it is so important for Africa to dam its rivers and to get its energy. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks.
Africa, or whatever they get, I'm gonna find a book for you. They're talking about that, and not just that. They have been planning how to make it legally traffic of organs and all these things.
Okay, yeah, them doing that right now.
And for a long time, they have a big plan in what is so-called world. In the beginning, they want to reproduce so much to enslave us, and now they want to erase that. You see, they falling into their own place.
Yes. Ready. Understand the people. Yes. Want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining with us. Thank you all for all the comments and so forth. Give thanks. Fight on. And like earlier on in the program, we need your assistance for the legal spaces, all the atrocities done to Rastafari that can be tabulated. All these things, we need your assistance as we fight and go forward. Give thanks. Leonard Howell.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Hello there. Yes, indeed. This is the prophet, Reverend Mark Stewart, inviting each and every one of you to join us for war. It's gonna be a war. Listen, every Wednesday, of course, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be powerful. Come for the word. Come for the conversation. Come for the teaching. Of course, the music. Of course, midnight warfare fire. With me, Prophet Mark Stewart, the boss shot, Apostle Marshall, Reverend Eric Box, and of course, Reverend Kathy Thane. For the hard way, join us every Wednesday night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Come and join us. Will you? Sponsored by all our partners, our friends of the ministry. Will you join us? Yes, indeed. It's going to be powerful. Listen every Wednesday, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. We're going to link it to the bus gone. We're going to link it to the bus gone.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats. Glory. Hallelujah. Da da di da di da do. Di da di da di. Da da di da di da da. Da da di da di da di. Da da di da di da do. Da 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 di. Da da di da di da da. Da di da da do. I say me daddy no day, say me daddy no day, say me daddy no day, I say me daddy no day, I say me papa is alive, say me daddy is alive, I say me daddy is alive, say me daddy is alive, I say me daddy no day, 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 I say me papa is alive, say me daddy is the reason. I say me daddy is alive, say me daddy is. I say them nail it to the cross. These are the other victory. 3 days he spent out in the grave. And now he rises in victory.
You look like German and you Hungarian and everything.
Say me papa is the reason. I say me daddy is alive. Say me daddy is alive. I say me daddy no day. 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 I say me daddy is alive. Say me papa is